I just want to get into a couple things before we really kick the show off. This week, we're doing just a regular episode. We're working on a special kind of memorial episode for Jeff, and we're going to air that next week. It's not ready yet.
Apparently we're muted. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, are we muted?
Yeah. So you have to. Oh, we're back. Okay. Might have to start again then. Sorry.
Okay. So what I was saying is, welcome back to the Pylon Show. We're doing just a regular Pylon Show episode this week. We want to get the show back on track. We're working on a special memorial episode for Jeff that we're going to do next week. It's not ready yet, and don't want to do it before it is. So that's what we're going to be seeing, just to alleviate any concerns about the show. The show will continue forward. It will now be on ArtosisTV, or no, I guess it's just Artosis on Twitch, and uploaded to my YouTube still. We are working on a bunch of new and different things. We have some upgrades that are coming that are in the works right now, some graphical changes and stuff. The website, thepylonshow.com, the forums are in the beta test phase, and I mean, we're gonna work on the Patreon and rework some of those things as well. So if you guys have any feedback, please do let us know. You can send it to Cobra. He's probably the best one to do, or the Pylon Show, which is actually, believe it or not, also Cobra. So you can do that, or on our Discord server, of course. All of the old bot commands that we normally have in the channel are being added into my channel now as well. So yeah, thanks for your patience, your support, and all that. So yeah, so let's get going into this episode then. Thank you. Coffee delivery. My life is the best.
Wife Tosis. Dude, aren't wives great?
Damn.
They're amazing. I suggest everyone gets one. Okay. So that's kind of the update there. Let's go ahead and talk about the sponsors real quick, then I'll introduce our nerds. Okay, first off, AFKT, run by Lycan. You can check it out at afkt.com. They've been sponsoring the show for a long time, so big thanks to them. The tea is great. I love it. I need refills. I need to message Lycan. Okay. And then we have matcherino.com/the Pylon Show. You can help us out on there. You can either buy things or put in the codes. The code is, let's see, where is this? The code this week, Purple Heart. So type that in, sign into Matcherino. If you can't sign into Matcherino, then you're a fool. Do it.
It's a good
the
point.
show. Yeah. I mean, come on. If you don't use Matcherino, how do you get your Nation War skins and shit like that? And that's coming up again. So you may as well just not be lazy, connect it to your Battle.net account and do it. All right. Also, our Patreon, the patreon.com/the Pylon Show. That's the best way to support the show if you'd like to support it. And want to thank everyone for doing so. We have 425 patrons, which is just amazing. So thank you guys. And of course, if you do support the show, you can check out the Q&A we do at the end of the show. You can always leave questions for that. The way to do that now is through thepylonshow.com, which is our website. It will always tell you when the show is on, has all the VODs and stuff like that, soon to have forums, etc. And you can just click on the Patreon Q&A thing at the top of the webpage to leave questions. So yeah, those are the sponsors. And all right, let's go ahead and introduce the guests now that we have them all here. First up, my old friend, Maynard. How are you doing, buddy? Thank you for coming on the show here today.
Honor and a privilege, Artie McTosis, as it always is, to be on the Pylon Show. And just as a small side note, I am very, very, very happy as a fan of Starcraft that this show is continuing.
Thank you much. And then I think his microphone is still muted, so we're going to skip over him for a moment. Oh, there he is.
I'm muting because otherwise you guys will echo.
Oh,
I'm at a hotel.
I get you.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have Katz here. Katz, why are you in a hotel?
I'm casting a Challenger tomorrow.
Excellent.
How
are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you? I would like to echo all of Maynard's thoughts because they were pretty good.
All right. Thank you much. And then we have.
Note that we are older friends, because you were like my
older friends. Yeah, that is true. That is true.
That's true. Yeah, I've known you a very long time.
Weird flex, but okay.
True. We also have here a new guest for the first time on the show, and someone that I think a lot of people just realized is around and existing. Grant, how are you doing, Grant? Welcome to the Pylon Show.
I'm good, man. It's 5 to 2 in the morning, so I'm a little tired. I haven't got much voice left over from Asus because I went full Maynard during the Several Time series and ended up growling. But I'm good. It's a real privilege to be here. You should have seen my Discord when people found out I was hanging out with Artosis for an evening. A pretty big deal for us lot. But thank you, man. And again, I want to echo the sentiments from someone who's maybe never been a part of this. So many of my friends listen to you on the bus or, just would never miss a show and a Patreon. So congratulations for keeping it going. I know it wouldn't have been easy, but mad respect.
Thank you much. And thank you for staying up so late to join us here. I know it's hard for Europeans. Normally we can only convince Roddy to do it. Okay. So we're gonna run through this week in StarCraft real quick here and get right into our topics. So again, this is just going to be a completely normal show. So for this week in StarCraft, of course, don't forget we have the show notes attached anywhere. Like if you're downloading the podcast or you're looking on YouTube or my Twitch page, you can check this out. I just give a brief summary. We have a lot more information within the pack. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. All right. The Banshee StarCraft tournament number 25 happened almost a week ago, and QB defeated Vriska 3-0. Check it out on Zombie Grub's Twitch channel. The Alpha X HK Clash of Continents. It was an all-kill format battle between EU and NA. Printf almost all-killed everyone at the end, but just fell short, so Europe ended up taking it down. You can check it out on alpha.tl/Africa TV Cup. Cheesadelphia 10 has finished up. Neeb ended up taking down the finals 4-0 over Epic. Vindicta and Future rounded out the top 4. You can check that out over on twitch.tv/Cheesadelphia. The ANZ WCS Challenger Finals are on tonight. Who's casting that? Is anyone here casting that?
Raise your hand if you're casting that tonight. I'm casting that with Peg as well, so it's going to be a great night. We're going to do both semis, yours versus Risky, and Cedar versus Butt Always. So a couple of previous champs, and all of them have been previous stops at Challenger, so they've all qualified before. It's keen to see who's top 2.
All right.
Risky is, he's from Risky. The UK, right? But he's playing the...
But he's also from New Zealand.
He's tried every WCS now, I think.
He has, and he succeeded in one of them.
That's the way.
Yeah, he went to Spring because he qualified.
That's the one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, definitely check that out tonight. The Copa America 2019 Season 2 qualifiers are underway for 2 seeds into WCS Fall, and $10,000 amongst the competitors are Special, Eric Cham, Kellijor, Jim Rising, and more. Check it out on Liquipedia. Sentimiento Latino number 63 has concluded. That's the best I've ever said that.
That was impressive.
That's all so proud.
Ryu took down another one over Nano in the finals. It plays on Saturdays at 2 p.m. PST. Check it out if you are in the area. The IMBA Force League is an event for amateur Peruvian players. Number 1 was won by Fuego, and number 2 by Johnny. 4 more to come. You can check it out on Liquipedia if you are Peruvian. Are you allowed to play in that, Cats?
We play that. Does Cats remember to unmute?
I'm not sure. It would be kind of weird if I wasn't, because I'm not a pro, and B, Fuego won. He's like the other Peruvian player. So yeah, if he can play, I'm sure I can play.
Yeah, I believe that they don't let Ryu play because he does well in Copa. So it's like kind of an amateur event.
But they let Fuego play. That's kind of.
Well, Fuego didn't make it deep in a Copa yet, I think.
I guess, yeah.
Not recently. All right. Well, there you have it. The IMBA Force League on Liquipedia. All right, WCS Fall China qualifiers have concluded. Time, not surprisingly, after that last performance at Asus, dominated with a 4-0 over Cyan in the finals. Both are going to gain seeds into WCS Montreal. The ANZ C Pro League Season 4 is going on. Round 4 just concluded. The top 2 teams are actually going to be invited to a LAN finals in Melbourne. And you can check it out on twitch.tv/ANZ C Pro League. Do you cast that one too, Maynard?
No, I've actually, what's really weird is this tournament arrived and they never even reached out to me at all at any point to commentate it. So I must have pissed off someone that's involved in that tournament.
Well, you're not really that well known anyways.
That is true. You know, as far as Australian commentators go, there's just so many.
No, there are quite a few. All right. The Clash SC2 Invitational Finals finished up recently with Petit Drogo winning the winner's bracket, but falling in the rematch to Raynor. They actually ended up like 5-5 in maps, I think, which is kind of funny. Check out the awesome games casted by Roddy and DeMuslim over on twitch.tv/clash_StarCraft 2. The Alpha X MVP took place. It was an invite tournament in which Art ended up defeating Dynamite 3-2 in the finals. You can check out on their Twitch TV channel, which is Alpha X SC2. The Olima League July finals just concluded 2 days ago. Zest ended up taking out Rogue 4-2, with tournament number 163 taking place on August 13th. Of course, casted by Maynard. Maynard, you're in almost every one of these so far. What's going on?
I cast a lot, dude. I don't know what to tell you. It's been casting a lot. And also, you know, that tournament in particular, you're going to be happy to know that Rogue was in really good form in that tournament. Rogue looked really good. So it's nice to see him playing as well as we expect, you know, in 2019.
I feel like you're pulling on my heartstrings a little bit here.
I am.
Like,
no, I knew you'd appreciate this because you're a massive Rogue fan.
I said he was going to win every tournament for like 2 years, and it really made me look stupid. All right, so check out the Olima League, and you can check it out. That is the greatest Patreon out there, next to the Pylon Show, of course. You get the greatest replays. It's amazing. Anyways, onwards. NA Apprentice Tournament Season 4, Future won over Asuna 4-3. You can check it out over on Twitch TV/Coltarin. The Master Swan Open /Sea Duckling Open continues. Eminus defeated Melty and Caterno defeated Eras, respectively. It plays on Fridays at 7 p.m. KST on Twitch TV/cranky_ducklings. Also related to that, the Oceanic Pond League. It's an amateur team league for Platinum through Masters 2, done by the Cranky Ducklings. It's in the group stage right now. You can check it out on the same channel.
Is Maynard casting that?
I am not.
Outrageous. Why not?
Outrageous. I know.
They didn't contact him. That's the only thing that you need to do to get him to cast.
What should be happening is I should be playing in it. That's my league range. That's what I should be doing.
It's true. You can go win one of those tournaments. I'll be talking about you on This Week in StarCraft even more. All right. The SC2 Blazing Series Season 2 continues and is finally almost over. It's been like 6 months of this tournament going on. We are in the top 4 right now. And it is Innovation versus Cure and Parting versus Night. So some very nice matches coming up. And it's streamed on Mondays on africatv.com/AFTW SC2. All right. Starcraft Sundays is a new weekly tournament series that began in July, sponsored by the wonderful AFKT and Matcherino.com. And it's partnered with Take TV. In the number 2 tournament, Showtime ended up defeating Bly in the finals. So that sounds to me like 3 great things. We've got Take TV, along with 2 great sponsors, a weekly tournament, and some really great pros playing. It sounds like a winning combination. So definitely check out Starcraft Sundays.
That was 5 things.
Yes, that's true. Thank you for keeping
4 or 5. There was definitely not 3.
As soon as I said 2 and I started thinking what I was going to say, I was like, oh no. People
you
let
said
me
3. You thought 2.
Yeah. Oh, okay. See, I don't know what's going on as far as numbers go. Numbers don't mean anything to me. All right. The Gemini Korean Invitational July Edition. Cure defeated
Gemini.
See, I say his name right now, right? I've been really working on it. I spend 4 or 5 minutes a day looking in the mirror saying his name.
And he never appears behind you.
Is it Gemini or Gemini?
Yes, Gemini. But whatever. Potato, you know.
Enough. Close enough. I'm sure he'll appreciate.
This segment has been rough on RT.
It's a tough one. This is the hardest part of the show, to be honest. Cure beat Armani 4-2 in the finals. It was guest casted by Up a Tree Zelda, and is now sponsored by Scythe Esports. So congrats. Check it out on Twitch TV /Gemini SC2. The BrizCraft Starcraft LAN. It was won by Probe over Scyther in the finals. They have a Team Liquid and Facebook page. So check it out if you are in that area, which I assume is Brisbane.
It's already happened, but yeah, it's
But like, they might want to check out the page anyway.
But if you want to see where it happened, like check out like a historical site of the LAN center that they played it in, and just breathe in the atmosphere of where it all went down. Then yes,
you can go show up with your keyboard and be like, "Am I late?" Yeah, you are.
Yeah,
last month,
a little late. A lot of Australian lands. Wow, didn't even. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, you guys are killing it right now. Okay, the ProBots Season 2 is in its semifinals. If you're interested in bots playing StarCraft 2, then check out ES Champs Twitch TV, which is ES Champ, of course. Who is the StarCraft master? Beastie Cutie is dethroned and defeated by Raynor with a 5-2 map score. You can check it out on Twitch TV /X5_pig. I know, I thought Beastie would keep that forever.
Yeah, right? I thought he was the random king. All right.
Yeah, these young kids with their talent, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think Scarlet could do it too. Because she plays Zerg and Protoss super well.
Yeah, that's true. She's quite good at both of those. I'm sure eventually Pig will have her on. All right. In-depth number 16 is out, and Regret and I went over some Asus Raw games, most notably the Time vs. Serral series. Check it out on youtube.com/ArtosisTV. The Melbourne SC2 Open, August 31st and September 1st, is coming up. You can check it out at starcraftopen.gg /Melbourne. Are you going to that, Maynard?
I don't think so.
Is Melbourne far from you?
Haven't been. It's like it's like 800 or 900 kilometers thereabouts. So it's pretty far. You definitely have to fly to go there unless you want to drive for 9 hours.
That is pretty far.
And I haven't been invited to commentate. So
oh wow,
I won't. I don't know.
Getting unacceptable at this point.
I think I pissed someone off, man. I think someone hates me that decides who makes these lands in Australia. They're just like, yeah, fuck that guy, dude.
We are witnessing
mad, but
too powerful.
The fall of Maynard right now.
The fall of Maynard. That's it.
We're gonna have to get a meme going on about you, like with me, where I'm the third or fourth.
Yeah, God, Australia fucking hates me, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, they don't hate you. It's just, I mean, you are the 5th best caster in Australia, so like, you know.
That is, yeah, it's true.
We'll see. Maybe IEM comes to town again. There would be a spot.
Well, luckily Apollo's got my back. So if IEM did come to Australia, I think that he'd be able to convince all of those those fat cats that hate me to let me through the door. I think he'll let me in.
That's good. All right. The Amateur Gamers League is hosting their first tournament on August 10th. You can follow Online AGL on Twitter to learn more. 2 bot creators are talking about making bots and machine learning in the ProBots Maker Moments, a video over on ES Champ's YouTube, where they also have something called What Your SC2 Bot Can See, Bits of Code 2. ES Champ, of course, if you're interested in the botting community within StarCraft 2, they are the ultimate resource as of now. All right, this week in Brood War, Corrupted Cup has all of its players qualified, but some challenges do remain. It's pretty complicated, actually. Some of the qualifier spots have rules where you can challenge to try to win the spot from the player. So a bunch of those are going on still. You can check it out in our show notes for the full thing of it. All right, the EGM Fight Night. It's a non-Korean Brood War tournament hosted by Doc Holiday. You can check it out Saturdays on africatv.com /DocHolidayTV. Also, STPL is resuming finally. Games will start up on September 22nd. You can check it out on Twitch TV /STPL. The New York City LAN, a really actually quite big LAN tournament for Brood War, happened. Models ended up beating Sugo in the finals, so a lot of good players there. You can check it out on Liquipedia, of course, as you can basically check out everything within StarCraft for more information. The Undermine podcast number 28, a podcast about Brood War bot programming, is out. In this episode, they talk about AlphaStar, CIG worries, and bamboozability, whatever the hell that is. Check it out on makingcomputerdothings.com. Also, Casually Explained, the StarCraft streamer, who also, I think, makes some YouTube videos. He put up a new video about StarCraft. It's worth checking out. It's pretty funny. He's
really funny.
always really enjoyed StarCraft, and he kind of tells some of his history with it. It's well done. So check it out on Casually Explained on I don't actually know what his YouTube channel is, but he's so big, you just type it and you'll figure it out. All right. Also, Beastie Cutie has some new videos out analyzing AlphaStar games. You can check those out on his YouTube. And Dark Horse Comics has launched a new comic book series called StarCraft Survivors #1. It costs $3.99. So there you go. That's this week in StarCraft. Thank you.
Smashed it, dude.
All right.
That was only like 20 or 30 minutes.
I know. You should see the amount of compression that goes on here. Alessander checks the entire internet, figures out everything that's going on in the whole StarCraft world, summarizes it beautifully. And then this morning I went through and re-summarized everything into like one sentence so I could go quickly.
You're amazing.
And get it nailed. I'm not amazing. Alessander's amazing.
That too.
I copy pasted a bunch of stuff she wrote. So yeah. All right. I don't have too much to do with that. Now, let me go ahead and just give a little overview of what our topics are going to be real quick. First off, we're going to talk to Grant about who he is, what's going on, where did he come from, things like that. Then we'll talk about the Asus ROG tournament that just finished up a little bit. And then the real meat and potatoes of any Pylon Show episode, the balance update that we just got. And then we'll talk about a little bit of a preview for GSL versus the World, which is coming up just next week. That's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know if they've announced who the casters are going to be yet. I'm going to go ahead and spoil it. I'm casting it. Yeah, believe it or not. Taste is casting it too, so there you go. Then maybe we'll mention Nation Wars just a little bit, as that voting is open, not a very big topic there. And then very quickly, just mentioning what is going on in GSL and ASL, and then Patreon questions. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. Grant.
Hello.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't know who you were until recently.
Hey, thanks, man.
Yeah.
You did a good job of that.
You just did a good job here at Asus. And I'm just wondering, can you tell us about yourself? Where do you come from? How did this all come about that you went to Asus?
Yeah. Okay. So my name's Grant. 27. I'm from England, from a city called Gloucester, sort of near Birmingham. I bought StarCraft 2 the day it came out. I played the beta a little bit, and my friends were like, "You have to try this game. It's so good." I was like, "Well, okay." I was always more of a WoW guy or a Warcraft guy, but and I bought it and I never stopped. Very early on, I joined Team Dignitas as a content producer. 7 or 8 years ago, I interviewed Apollo, which is just this tiny, it's this little text interview. I remember being so excited when he emailed me, and he was like my age, which was really, really cool. And over the last few years, I've always played. I've never been very good, like a lot of the UK scene. Got to get those digs in. But I've always enjoyed StarCraft a lot. I traveled to a lot of the UK lands. We had a lot of I-Series back in the day. To this day, very good friends with Johnny Rico, which is a name some people may remember. Some people certainly won't. Still one of my very good friends. And I started doing a little bit of commentating, just really casually. I did the Norwegian Clan League, which was, so small. I don't even know if there was prize money involved, but I did that just because I liked it. And I've got a lot of friends in sort of Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden. And then about 4 or 5 months ago, I had a moment where I was watching a lot of casts and a lot of stuff. And I realized that like outside or in Europe, there are very few very hype play-by-play casters. In Korea, you've got Tasteless. Traveling the world and doing a lot of the NA events and stuff, you've got Maynard. And I was like, Rotti can do it, but he's so good at analysis. I feel like sometimes it's nice to have that split. I was like, you know what? I'll give it a go. So I joined Alpha X and I did the BJ Destruction Team League on Africa. as well as a lot of the Alpha Pro Series show matches. Some really cool Korean ones. I got to cast a lot of Zest. Loads of those really good players, Hero, some of Dan's favorites, Rogue. And I really started to enjoy it, and I got a lot of positive feedback. For the last 2 or 3 events, I've been going to Home Story Cup every time, because it's, you know, it's only like a 2-hour flight. It's not too expensive. And Home Story Cup 19 in Krefeld, I showed up. I said to Naruto, the guy who sort of runs the casting side of things, who's doing the B stream, and he's like, no one. We're going to try and get some players, but they're not always that keen. And I said, okay, how about this? You give me like a player caster wristband so I can get free food, a couple of drinks, and have access downstairs. I'll do the whole weekend for you for free. And he was like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. And he goes, we can make that happen. So I casted for like 34 hours in 3 days for free, which was lovely. I did all but 2 series throughout the weekend on the B stream. And like Rotti was like, we got to get you on the A stream. So I did some A stream. I did 3 or 4 series there with like Wardy and Rotti, Todd, Loco, and a couple of players. And I got really good feedback. Then Asus rolls around, and Kylaris gets sick, which is really unfortunate for him, but bloody great for me. So I sort of, he knows how I feel. I sort of reached out. I DM'd Azrak, who's one of the producers, like, look, do you need someone? And then I messaged Rotti Kev on Facebook, like, do you mind if I use you as a reference? Because I've cast with you at Home Story Cup. I've known the guy many years now. And he's like, sure, this is what I think. And he said he thinks it should be Wardy. Obviously, what happened and it wasn't. Or Loco. I don't think Loco could do it. Wardy happened. So the next thing that happens is I'm getting a phone call. They really wanted someone quick. I was cheap compared to obviously a lot of people. I could fly out 6 hours notice, which is what I had. And then, it all felt very surreal. I didn't expect it to happen. I didn't anticipate it. I wasn't prepared. Like after Home Story Cup in June, I got really sick. A massive infection in my thyroid. So I hadn't watched Starcraft for a month up until about a week and a half ago. And I'd been in and out of hospital because I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. It was shocking, which is kind of why I went in not knowing the meta too well and not being that involved. But, you know, and then I did Asus RAG, and it was the most mental experience of my life.
All right. Well, congratulations on that. Seems
Thank
like
you.
a lot of things lined up for you.
Yeah.
What was that first big event like for you? Because like obviously you did a little bit of online, you did some Take TV stuff, which is super laid back. It's so different from casting anything.
Yeah.
So what was it like to go to such a big event with some of the best casters out there? And what was that for you? I
mean, I was obscenely nervous. I was shaking. I couldn't eat. I didn't sleep the day before our rehearsal day. I was very, very lucky because Ben, obviously, the Muslim is English. I've known him for like 8 years. I've seen him at a couple of the UK stops and some of the Home Story Cups, and we get on. And Rotti is a friend, I'm quite happy to say. But I was terrified of Todd. Terrified. Because let's face it, Todd has a reputation of being a D-bag. Like, it's a meme at this point. Rotti calls him a D-bag all the time. And he was like on my flight, and I like gave him a little wave. Did not know who I was at first. Had no idea who I was. He probably thought I was just like some random guy who'd recognized him on a flight and felt super famous. But I got to the event and we started talking. And I don't know how much you guys saw of me casting with Todd, but by the end we had a bit of a bromance. He's like the funniest dude I've ever met. And it ended up working out so well. We got to the finals. But generally the event was fucking terrifying, excuse my language. It was good. I've never seen, you know, like even like the stage. I saw the stage and I had like goosebumps, and they were like, it's just a stage. And I'm like, I'm going to be casting for this audience and these bleachers. We were warned on day one that Finnish audiences are very quiet and they'll just golf clap. By the end of it, we had them screaming. It was so satisfying. I mean, it was the best thing I've ever done. There's no doubt in my mind. It was life-changing. You know, sometimes you do things and you're like, oh, that was cool. This was like, it still doesn't feel like it happened. Like I shouldn't be here speaking to fucking Artosis and Maynard and Katz. Like that doesn't compute, you know.
It wasn't actually. It was a long time ago, but it doesn't feel like that long of a time ago. I still remember that exact feeling that you feel, that you felt rather, and probably feel right now, when it just got surreal, where we just sort of, you know, you did the event, you're like, did that even happen? Was that real?
Yeah,
really?
You know,
I remember that feeling, man. It's super real. Yeah,
it's absolutely mad. Like, and it all started when they announced me, which they announced me before they'd asked me, which was interesting. Before I had like an offer and stuff, they announced me on Twitter to do Asus ROG. And like people were like, who is this guy? And everything kicked off. And you know, but like Apollo tweeted.
I feel like we're circling the issue here a lot. Like everything kicked off and happened.
Fuck, do I have to talk? Right, okay.
Spicy here.
Yeah, we're tiptoeing around something here, I think.
Okay, so obviously a lot of people wanted Wardy to do the event. Rotterdam told me he'd rather Wardy do the event. And the chat log says, I said, I completely agree with you. You should go for the bigger draw first. Now, they had accepted him to do the B stream for free. And they didn't want to stop that because they had it in place. And for them, they needed that B stream. So Wardy didn't get the call up for that reason. That's the only reason I know. I love Wardy, got a lot of respect for Wardy. He was going to UK lands again, like the old iSeries 6, 7, 8 years ago. So we've been hanging out a long time. He's fucking worked his ass off. And I do feel sorry for him, but like they didn't say to me, like, it's you or Wardy, you get to pick. I just got a phone call saying, do you want to come and cast Asus ROG? We'll give you this. We'll pay for your flights. You leave in 7 hours. I didn't know what happened until after it happened. And I felt really, really bad. Like, but who would say no to that, you know?
No.
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't be feeling bad about it. That's for sure. Don't feel bad for opportunities.
It's not your fault.
Add extra pressure to you, like in the cast and
whatnot.
Huge.
And I put a tweet out before just saying, like, look, I'm going to go there and I'm going to give them, I'm going to show you guys why they picked me. And that's why I gave it so much. You know, I gave
fighting words.
%. Like I hadn't been around for 4 or 5 weeks as well. So like my knowledge was dog. Talking of dog, yeah, shut the fuck up. But I just tried my absolute best. I tried my best to enjoy it and not think about a crowd, not think about an audience, not even think about what I like and dislike. I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to talk about StarCraft as if I was in my room on Discord with my friends.
Follow-up questions. Earlier in the stream when Maynard was saying that he didn't get hired for, was that like triggering thoughts in your head where you were like, oh my God, this is such a similar situation? Like where, you know, they're hiring not Maynard?
Not really. I kind of get, no, you're all right. Now that I think about it, like, I don't know why, and I think the same about Wardy. I don't know why they wouldn't hire Maynard if he's
I can tell you that they tried.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Or Wardy. You know, these people are, or even like Loka. Anyone. Like, obviously, I was so far down the pecking order. I'd done one major event. It's Home Story Cup. It doesn't count. I was wasted for like the whole event. Everyone was.
I think you don't need to apologize to anyone.
And I still do feel bad. I feel bad for the audience who didn't get what they want. But I hope people, you know, I understand I made some mistakes, but I did try my best, you know. I really did.
Well, let me clear this up. You don't need to feel bad about anything. You got an opportunity, you took it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Now that you've done the event, like I don't know if you were like ambitious for a career in esports before, or maybe you are now. Like how you said though when you were describing it that it was like life changing. So in what way was this event like life for you?
So I never wanted to work in esports. I have a day job. I work as a writer for my local government, and I write about housing, you know, and I like my job. I actually called in sick, so if anyone's watching the stream, I'm really sorry. I was really sick still in Finland though, because, you know, you have to do these things for these right opportunities. Now, as yeah, I'd never wanted one before, but like I've always heard people say like footballers or other sports people, when you get out there, the adrenaline and like it's like a drug. And you can bet your fucking ass I want to do more. Like I'm an addict now. I understand it's very difficult. I'm not going to go quit my day job and go, I'm full time after like one event. But I do want to do more, especially in Europe. You know, there are still opportunities out there, I think. So why not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
And you know your strength as well as a hype caster. I think.
Yeah. And I know my weakness as well, which I can work on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's really important.
I have a theory actually that I think that hype casters, if you get too good at the game, then you become worse at hype. Because to generate genuine excitement, you can't know what's going on.
You have to be surprised, yeah.
You have to be surprised, yeah.
I agree.
I mean, that's a working theory.
Do I take offense to this?
Or, I mean, I'm going to own it, Maynard.
I mean, sometimes I do say, I wonder what happens, but I actually know sometimes.
It's good to know sometimes. But like my favorite tasteless quote ever when he's casting is, I don't know what's going on. When he yells that shit.
I mean, that is Nick. It's been a while since he's laddered in Starcraft too, but
but a lot of the best hype casters, I think, are literally the highest.
And I agree. There was one moment, and I guess, Dan, when you did In Depth with No Regret, you saw it. The Baneling flank from Cyril on all of those.
Oh, that was so gorgeous. Yeah.
Now, I thought he was going to counterattack with them, and I wasn't watching the mini-map, so I didn't see him line up. And you hear me, and that's where I blew my voice out. I scream, here come the Banelings as they connect. And I didn't know that was going to happen. So I completely agree with you there, Katz, because that one moment, like Lambo obviously knew, casting with him, he knows everything like 110 steps ahead. I don't have a bloody clue.
Yeah, exactly. Lambo couldn't get excited at that. He would have known what was about to happen. Yeah.
But I could, and the audience did. And I found it when I got really excited and I could hear the audience, because we could hear like everything from the audience. When you hear them get up, like I was like, at that point, I knocked my chair over.
Yeah. As a hype guy, that's like you feed off the audience's energy.
Oh, so much.
Like osmosis, man. It's just right. Yeah. They get louder, you get louder. They get more hype, you get more hype. It's very much so.
I agree.
I like your idea, Katz.
I mean, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. Much.
He's not wrong.
Know too much.
There's one more thing that I wanted to bring up is you mentioned Johnny Rico. Mm-hmm. That guy was actually the reason that anyone was ever called a patch circ. I'm pretty sure that the term was coined for him, you know. That's the story right there.
Oh, trust me, I call him one every day. To this day, he doesn't really play anymore. He's now, he's just hit either Masters or Challenger in League. He's very, very good. What the f you eating? Just a big sausage? Like, it's all the things I didn't expect right then. Yeah, Johnny Rico is great. He is the ultimate patch deck. He knows it. He played Broodlord and Festa better than anyone else. Him and Zictamini, they did really well with it. He made a lot of money doing it, and he doesn't have any shame. Why not? You know, it's competitive.
Totally. All right. Well, Grant, thank you for filling us in on that. Very good to kind of get to know you a bit more. Let's go ahead and jump over and talk about Asus ROG a little bit here. And the actual tournament itself. Obviously, this was a ridiculously stacked event that kind of came out of nowhere. To me, it felt a lot like the old days, where it's just kind of, you know, added in, and it's not straight up WCS with that exact, you know, it had its own feel, and having the Koreans and the non-Koreans there were that was exciting. I thought it was kind of funny how only foreigners won WCS points, because then it's like, wow, there's all these WCS points on the line, and the highest finishing foreigner gets 200 points. It's like, oh, okay, really not.
Cyril got
them.
So time was the only one who got any points, and he got 50.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, overall for the tournament, did you guys watch a whole lot of it? What did you think?
I thought it actually felt to me like a lot of the old dream hacks. So I agree with you in the sort of like the in the production sense, where you have like the same kind of stage where it's just a bunch of people sort of standing around a desk. I mean, the casters aren't at that desk, which would have been the case at the old DreamHacks. But it was just like a desk with sort of like the stage behind it, very sort of, it felt kind of like a high budget community tournament, minus the crowd, because the old DreamHacks had pretty big crowds because they were, back in the day when Starcraft had a bit more of a live crowd for those tournaments. But the Asus ROG thing was at a convention, right, Grant? Was that like,
so
it seemed like people were flowing in from other areas into that area? But there was definitely like a very almost embarrassingly small crowd for the first day and maybe part of day 2, but day 3 was, the rafters were packed, literally. I was watching a lot of that tournament, staying up very late to watch. I mean, the tournament had some of the best games you've seen in recent StarCraft 2. Time Serral was an absolute treat.
That was amazing.
Oh my God, that series was an incredible TVZ, like a mixture of bio, a mixture of mech, just Serral being Serral. What more could you ask for? And honestly, I like Stat Serral a lot as well. Like there is a contributing factor of them both having Serral in it, but I'm a big fan of the kid, man. He's so entertaining to watch.
Now, looking at the bracket overall, I mean, obviously the groups leading up to it, but it feels like things are going back to how they were. Do you know what I mean? All these Korean flags popping up.
Yeah.
And this is always the question I'm going to ask when Serral doesn't win a tournament. Is he washed up?
No.
Hello, Twitch chat. How did Twitch chat get in on Tosis' microphone? That's weird.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. That's
Not
in
a
all
chance.
seriousness, that's ridiculous.
I gotta do it every time.
Yeah.
Like, he lost 2 maps to Raynor in this finals. Is he washed up? But no. But seriously though, looking at it overall, the Koreans definitely looked really super strong. They are the ones that had to fly further, maybe jet lagged, a slightly different type of situation. And not too many of the foreigners really were able to fight that strongly against, especially the top tier. We saw some of the lower guys drop out, Bomber and Tasia and Ragnarok.
Armani as well.
Yeah. Some of those, like, the B teamer Koreans, kind of like the guys that are like round of 32 only in GSL, but all the ones that are like big names seem to really deliver.
Yeah. With that said, though, I don't think there's many foreigners on that level. So I don't know. It's kind of a fluky, right? I feel Showtime beat Stats 2-0, I think, in groups, right?
Yeah, he did. Yep.
For example, so I think people like Showtime, like Raynor, like they have the potential to make very, very deep runs. Serral, obviously. Major, I think there's a few foreigners, but there's not as many foreigners at that level as there is Koreans, I think.
Yeah, like Neeb was really jet lagged. I spoke to him a bit. He was really jet lagged. Raynor just had an off tournament. I think maybe Raynor got to the beers a little early, and it didn't go so well for him. But you see, and even Gabe had some really good series. I feel like the potential was there. It just didn't work out. Stars just didn't align for some of these guys this time.
And time,
I was actually really shocked that Gabe didn't get out of his group.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, I mean, it's Stats and Gumiho, right?
Yeah.
And then Raynor's the other guy in the group. So I'm like,
Yeah,
actually, guys, I'm not surprised at all that he didn't get out of that group. But
well, obviously, like Gumiho has been sort of on a bit of a dip. And honestly, like Big Gabe's TVT was really, really good, so I wasn't worried for him versus Gumiho, but I guess maybe I should have been.
Looking at the tournament overall, what were the big surprises for you guys that you really didn't expect?
Zest getting top 4? It was a bit of a surprise.
How many times do I need to step up to the plate and tell you guys how good Zest is? This is like... It feels like it should be in my job description. Remind people that Zest is
reminder.
Top 3 Protoss. Yeah.
Dan Zest reminder, Stemkowski. I don't know, man. I don't know what it is about Zest and me. I expect him to do well, but I don't expect him to top 4 or win tournaments. I expect him to top 8, but top 4 to me was surprising. And I thought that Deer was a bit of a lucky draw, I think, in the beginning, even though Deer's pretty scary. But Zest's PvP, obviously really incredible. I think if he had like one of the other guys in the top 8, I don't think he would have been top 4.
I think for me, Reina not doing that well was more a surprise. I think it's hard to say anyone in the top 8 didn't deserve to be in the top 8. Time constantly makes these deep runs. Cyril, and then you've got 6 of the best Koreans of all time. I think, Reina should have been there. I would have liked to have seen Bomber do better as well. He didn't even take a map, I believe. And
that wasn't a surprise, though, I don't think.
No, not surprised. Just a personal.
Yeah.
Personal
who didn't take a map?
Bomber.
I was really surprised with Solar. Going into the finals, he was 14-1.
Yeah.
And not going through easy stuff. He had the 4 Korean group in, the round of 16 groups. I mean, I guess his previous group is a little bit easier, but like the 3-0 over Gumiho, the 3-0 over Zest. I don't know. It caught me off guard because it feels like for the last 2 years, Solar has been losing ground in Korea. Like he was always top 8 for a couple of years. And then just recently, last year and a half, 2 years, what has Solar done, right, in GSL? So little, to the point where I'm like, is he over? Yeah, I don't know. I found that very, very surprising.
I was lucky enough. Like I said, I cast that Africa TV Team League, and Solar's team ended up doing like absurdly well. I can't remember if they won. It's been a while, but I saw him all kill teams with like Innovation and Maru, Creator and Rogue. Like I saw him beat every top player. He got like 2 all kills in that tournament. So I actually had like a bet with a friend for like a round of beers. Solar will make the finals. I feel like, and me and Rotti said this a lot, when Solar is on, he has like 1 month every 6 months where he's like God tier, like absolutely one of the best Zergs in the world. And then he's kind of Mr. Inconsistently consistent, where he's like doing okay, better than the B. There's not quite an S teamer,
I think he had an easier side of the bracket as well, like the people that he played, but the fact that he got 3 zeros in those was definitely a positive surprise.
I think his group was the big one.
That's fair.
The 4
the group, actually, that's a good point. Yes,
was mega.
That was the group of death easily.
Yeah, look at that thing. Ugh.
Yeah,
Nebu thermal now.
It's not the one we're talking
about. That's the joke. That's the joke.
I know.
Because it's brought up on screen just now.
Oh God. Yeah, that's a tough one. Not if you read Uthermal's Twitter account.
Come on. I love you, Mark.
So I gotta say as well, it's so nice to see Time doing well. Yeah. And that series against, I haven't watched that much of Asus yet. I've been going through a lot of the replays and watching some of the VODs, but Cyril versus Time was what a good series that was. Time just really starting to deliver at this point. Remember, he made GSL a couple years ago and played actually really, really well. And I was like, oh God, you watch next year he's going to do. And then last year he did nothing. But now he's kind of stepping up to the bat, which is super sick. I really want to see a strong Chinese player grow like that. But so for me, so far out of the series I've seen, that was definitely my favorite. What do you guys say? If someone's watching the Pylon Show right now and wants to know, what's 1 or 2 series that I should definitely check out from Asus ROG, what would those be?
Yeah, definitely Cyril Time. That was the series of the tournament for sure.
If you want to see
Stats Cyril was really hyped because of this, I guess, the rivalry between those two. Stats getting revenge was cool, but as far as games go, Time Cyril for sure.
I think Solar Zest, if you want to see really the cleanest gameplay I've seen in years, just all over it, perfect counterattacks, perfect defense. That was really good. I know the scoreline doesn't reflect how good it was, but Solar looked unbelievable in that. Trying to think what Cyril Innovation was good in the groups, in group stage 2.
Okay.
I mean, Cyril Innovation, Solar Innovation. Cyril Innovation was big.
Okay. Yeah.
And Cyril Zhuge Liang. It sounds silly, but the first map we cast, the first game of the entire tournament was that, and we're like, well, this is gonna suck. And then Zhuge Liang takes map 1, and I
saw that.
He was so close as well.
Damn.
That was instantly. That's when I knew this was going to be a good tournament.
I like how Todd always brought up on the desk is just like, Zhuge Liang. I call him Zhuge Liang. Is it? How do you pronounce it?
Zhuge Liang, I believe. Yeah, you're about right. No one really knows.
From Lambo.
I always said Zhuge Liang. But I loved how whenever he was on the desk, Todd was just saying, well, you know, Cyril can't be perfect all the time. And he just sort of just stares at him.
He'd go on and on. Cyril went like 12-1. He lost one map and then won like 12 in a row. And yeah, Todd would and Rotti kept being like, is this person going to be the one to beat him apart from Zhuge Liang? You know, can stats take him up? It was unreal. Cyril is like one of a kind. I've never seen a player that good. But when Zhuge Liang took that map, I was so hyped for him because he did his ceremony before as well. So yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. All right. So any final thoughts on Asus ROG for you guys before we get on to the balance update?
I hope they do it again.
Go on, boy.
Oh, thank you, mate. I really, really hope they do it again. Obviously, they haven't done one for 3 or 4 years. Like, I know the crowd may have seemed small on day 1 and 2. Day 3 and 4, the bleachers were packed and there were people sitting like 100 meters back, just in rows, sitting in front of the stage, sitting on the desk. We had to move them every time we were on the desk. Especially Cyril. He's a legit celebrity in Finland. People knew who he was if they didn't follow StarCraft. I think the viewership was good, so I really hope Asus go, okay, let's bring this back. It's not just CS for us now. So that's mine.
Yeah. Big cheers to them for kind of leading that, right? Because it's been so long since we've had an event of that caliber that just came out of nowhere. So I hope other people can look at that and say, oh God, yeah, why don't we do StarCraft 2 events anymore? And then we can all sit here and be like, we've known for so long. All right. So, big cheers to Asus ROG. Now on to the next topic. We're going to talk about the new balance patch that's coming out. So, you know, they've been throwing out a couple of ideas about what the upcoming balance patch might look like in community updates from Blizzard. Now, they've put out the latest update, and it is on the test mod. So you can check this out, but this will be updated. This is the balance patch that's going to occur as far as we know. It doesn't look like they're really looking too much more into changing this, but it will not happen until August 20th. I know a lot of people have been asking, like, when is this going to occur? That is after GSL versus the World. So GSL versus the World will be on the current balance patch, and then this comes out before GSL gets going again in the round of 16. So that's the first thing that you'll see, I believe, on the new balance patch will be GSL starting up again. Right? What date is Montreal? It's not for
Montreal's September, but I do think it also might affect Challenger playoffs.
It does.
Oh, maybe.
Challenger groups will happen, and then immediately it'll be a patch, and then playoffs on the new patch.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, those will be the first pro games you can check is the Challenger games, and then the GSL round of 16 will be on it. So let's jump into these and just go one by one, I guess. I'll go ahead and read it. So warp prisms no longer start with the warp conduit passive ability, and warp-ins will take 11 seconds. Huh?
They're not making that happen. They start off by saying that's those are the changes that they're not going to put in.
That's the not moving forward.
These are the ones we're not doing, or they start with, yes.
Yeah, and they describe,
So the Zealot charge is not going either?
No. Zealots are still getting that damage from charge.
Thank God. It's like, I can't believe this. All right. New change. Infested Terran, infested rockets, weapon cooldown increased from 0.95 to 1.14.
Oh, yeah. Those arbitrary numbers. But most importantly, now it doesn't ignore armor.
Yes.
Well, it won't ignore armor when the patch goes through.
Why the hatred, though? Why the hatred? Why are we laughing at these numbers?
Because it just seems so arbitrary and weird, like not rounding it up with a 5. I mean, I'm the kind of guy, when I listen to music, if I have like a volume meter on a sound system, only in multiples of 5.
Yes.
If my wife puts that sound system on 41 or 42, I'm like, that extra few to make it 45. You know,
it may be that they're adjusting using a different lever, and then that's just the numbers that it throws on, you know.
I like to think that the balance design team just has like this old machine with like cranks and levers, and they're just like shoveling coal into the balance machine, trying to get that thing running. I like that idea. That's good.
Yeah. So they're nerfing infested Terrans slightly and fixing the thing. Do you guys have any strong opinions about the infested Terran change?
I think alongside with the armor, it's going to make them not ignoring armor anymore. It'll make late game PvZ a little bit more interesting. Carriers and interceptors and stuff won't just disappear in like a quarter of a second.
Yeah, the carrier getting a bit of a buff as well. Those things combined can make Protoss will have a little bit more of a chance against the Zerg in late game. Yeah, and it's not like I mean, it's a pretty big change, but it's not like astronomical.
No, it's not going to affect a lot. It's only really going to affect that late game, isn't it? Like, you're not going to see too much of it elsewhere.
I think the thing that's going to affect it the most maybe is the Protoss the most, in my opinion, is the recall thing. Again, I'm like not a high-level player, as Katz mentioned.
Oh, come on.
I can't be really. Because if I was really high level, then I'd be a bad commentator. Yeah, I don't really know what's going on. Like, I'm basically like a mime out there, like feeling around to like, well, what is happening? I'm in the dark here. What's happening? But I do think that it was cool to see Protoss start to throw in, well, specifically Stats throw in Disruptor to try and deal with the Infestor stuff. I thought that was a really cool idea that I hadn't really seen utilized before, and it looked like maybe with a bit more practice it might be a bit more effective. But I think the recall thing is going to kill a few Protosses, and maybe the -1 range and the Prism pickup. A lot of Protosses have played like 10,000+ games, maybe more, on just having that extra, like that 6 range, and then it goes down to 5 or whatever it is, and then they're just like, oop, that last shot from the Queen picks off the Prism. I think that might be happening a little bit.
Definitely agree with that. Let's jump past the Infested Terran change, jump down. Final changes from Terran. Stimpack upgrade research duration decreased from 121 seconds to 100. So that is a multiple of 5 cats. Are you into this change?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it could create weird timings, but they're not going to be shown until they're shown, right? Like, there's no way to account for them. So if there's something to adjust, they'll adjust it. And otherwise, then the idea behind it, I think, is so that Stim finishes more often than not against like certain timings.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on this, guys? The quicker Stim.
I'm quite excited to see maybe some 2-1-1 timings come out from this. I think there's going to be some nice all-ins, like the free bunker, like the third 2-1-1 sort of stuff will come back a little bit maybe. Well, I don't know how it works out. I've not really practiced it, or I've not watched a lot of people practice it. But I think specifically versus Zerg, they'll have to be a bit careful. Bit careful, that's not a word. Bit more careful at the sort of like 40 drone mark. It'll be interesting to see though.
The thing is that those attacks are gated by the medevacs usually, so they still have to wait for the medevacs to come out, so they can't hit earlier.
Okay.
The only thing we'll be looking at is if they move out with a fuckload of Marines with Stim and nothing else, or is people with that. Like if that kind of stuff happens, probably in TVP, is what might happen. Then that would be a problem.
And that's exactly, I was about to bring that up. Exactly, like I had basically 3 racks every TVP, and that build I'll just arrive with less Marines, but it'll hit way harder because there'll be less gateway units to worry about.
So it'll look like the games where you get supply blocked right now, but quicker.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that supply block hitting right nice and early. It'd be great. No, I'm surprised the Stim change went through. Honestly, I don't specifically remember a huge outcry for it. It felt like this balance change was like a response to the community complaining about a few things, like the Infestor, like the carrier not being good anymore, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't think anyone was sitting there going, "We need Stim faster." What the fuck? I don't remember that. I mean, I think it was a response to like the blink openings from Protoss where they would pick off tech labs and that sort of thing. But is that really like that?
I feel like the Stim change is specifically geared towards TVP to possibly slow down third bases for Protoss, which I like it. I like the idea behind it. If you can slow down that third a little bit without really screwing up too much for Protoss, I think that might make TVP a little bit more fun, more even overall. I don't know. I like that change personally. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not
and
against
I prefer
it. I'm
buffs
player,
to
so.
nerfs anyways. It always feels better to see a buff than a nerf, in my opinion.
I think Harston in EU recently has come up with this really, really greedy style of Protoss as well, which is going to get more and more popular, where he got like a third base off of 1 gate, 1 robo, and he'd defend with just Immortals, a few Stalkers, and 2 batteries. And his third was just safe. Like, he wouldn't die even to like all ins. He was telling a Goblin about it at Home Story Cup, and we were just like, "You're going to die to everything." And he just didn't. He did really well with it. And that sort of greedier Protoss play, I think, is going to come up. So I think this will punish that a bit better.
Oh, yeah. Definitely something like that. Seems like it should go away. Another Terran buff here. New upgrade, enhanced shockwaves, increases the radius of Ghost EMP round from 1.5 to 2. The cost is 150 with a research time of 79 seconds. That is, I believe I saw that this was about 70% larger area for EMP.
Wow, I thought it was like 50, but yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, it's a pretty significant boost, which obviously makes the range longer because the edge of your EMP can hit things that are further away. Your thoughts, gentlemen?
It's pretty heavily.
So yeah, you go.
Yeah, I think it's heavily gated, right? Like it has a cost and it takes a while. So it's kind of like the Interceptor and the Infestor changes, where it doesn't really touch much of the game until late enough that it only impacts a subset of games. Mm-hmm. And I think that the patch is a lot of that, like not super targeted stuff outside of just later game, and the later the game, the less impact it has on the majority of games. So even though it's a relatively big patch, I think it's kind of whatever. I like that the AMP is going to be more useful, and they think that Terran could have used a few more tools late game. So there's one.
I'm actually a little bit worried about the impact of. I mean, it seemed like even though Zerg's late game seems really, really strong, I'm actually a little bit worried about late game for Zerg with the Terrans that are really good with ghosts, because they're already struggling a bit with Terrans that are very, very good with nuke, like constant nuke pressure, while getting up all those like 20+ command centers, while getting infinite scans, infinite mules, while setting up that turret forest, and just being really, really hard to stop in that regard. And then they also have an even better tool along, not a better tool than Mass Liberator. I think that's still better against like a lot of infestors in the late game, but having that bigger EMP as well, you can really zone out those infestors and potentially catch a few of those Zergs that aren't used to that extra bit of range. So I'm a little bit worried for the repercussions for not only Protoss, but for Zerg as well. That seems like a pretty nice buff for specifically late game. Like Chet Katz mentioned, I don't think you're going to see EMP upgrade rushes. No, that'd be weird, but
I think you put that in the hands of a player like Soul, who's like hyper late game TVZ is some of like Cyril said it was better than Innovations. Soul is so good at that one, you get past like 25 minutes. Soul is probably the best in Europe at late game TVZ. Something like that will make it very interesting if you can just get the tools to survive, and maybe stim, that earlier stim, stuff like that can help him. I think Soul will be happy with these changes.
Well, that's good. It is a Terran buff, so I think every Terran will be happy to some degree with them.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Zerg. Overlord speed goes from 100 to 75 cats. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was necessary. I mean, I was behind the change when it was first proposed because of what the panorama looked like, but then Zerg started doing pretty well, and this is a pretty substantial change. The thing is, when there is when there's enough change in the meta where Protoss, for example, start doing the robo openings and start discovering all these new openings, because Protoss is so tech based and they have so many options now with robo and Stargate, Zergs are just dying because there's 10 builds going around, right? And then you have to wait for like people like Lambo to figure out like at what time you drop your roach warrant and how many roaches you need to make, and that you need to skip speed or you can't hold it type thing, right? So once those things are in play at the professional level, once the understandings are a little bit better formed, then all of these builds lose a little bit of potency. And I feel like the Overlord speed was to address exactly that. There's too many builds and we don't know what's coming. But I think people are already getting better at it, so I'm not sure if it's overkill.
You think it's a ZVP thing?
Yes, sir. Just in general for Zerg scouting.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to agree. We were seeing, I think it was Lambo at Asus. He's going for that upgrade anyway, and thinks it's really good early game. I think that one needed a bit more time for Zergs to figure out if they need to get it early game anyway, if it is worth that 100 investment. I just feel like the meta was slightly shifting towards that upgrade, like as it was, and maybe this will come a bit soon. I feel like almost every Zerg will start getting it really, really early.
this one I think it's interesting because I see so many games where with the 100, if you fly in and you find out that it is a rush that's literally about to leave their base, you regret it. And if you fly in and you immediately get attacked by a phoenix, you regret it. Right? In those two situations, I feel bad for the Zerg player. But if it was like something in between there, right? Something that's like longer, or it's not a Stargate, then you're like, okay, this was great. This was very worthwhile. Now, if it went to 50-50, that's too strong, obviously. Like everyone will get it every single game always because it's just ridiculous. But it feels like an okay middle of the ground. I feel like in semi.
The other thing is Cyril's starting to do a lot of Ling drops, and I think this sort of will tie into that a little bit as well. You see him do it against Protoss like almost every game where he runs by the third, then he backs off, loads up an Overlord and goes. And I think Ling drops will become more popular. Or Bane drops, whatever.
Sure. All right. Well, we already talked about the infested Terran, infested rockets, and the bug fix. Cool. So that's all the Zerg stuff. It's mostly just that scouting upgrade and the infested Terran fix. For Protoss, Warp Prism cost increased from 200 to 250 minerals. Warp Prism pickup range decreased from 6 to 5. So those two, let's put those two together. What do you guys think, Maynard?
The 50 mineral thing makes 0 sense to me. But the pickup range, I get it.
What we do with Robo,
Why?
Yeah, just
Robo's
like
50 less, Immortals 50 more, Prism's 50 more. I can't wait till Observer's 50 more because I
feels like that. Feels like that old meme of like the guy with like the round sunglasses that's sprinkling salt really weirdly. It feels like they just got these numbers and they just like there, there's minerals, a little bit of gas there, just a little bit of that. But the pickup change, the pickup change I kind of get. They're just trying to make that those early all-ins a little bit less strong with or timing attacks with like Immortal and that sort of thing. Make it more of a commitment and easier to punish. Which I think should definitely be the case. It was a very, very, very powerful 200 mineral unit for sure. And now it's a slightly less powerful 250 mineral unit.
Yeah. Does it affect Archon drop too much? Because I feel like Archon drop is pretty healthy in PvZ, right? Because already
the
range does, yeah, for sure.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? Because we're kind of hitting both those right now. Because that's what I'm afraid of. Because I feel like healthy PvZ, if you see Archon drop at all, you're like, oh, okay, this is a good PvZ. This is not one that's going to make anyone angry. We're not going to see posts on the forums about this build. It's kind of a macro build. You get some scouting done, you get some harass done. Feels good, but with Queen anti-air range being around 40,
it's one of the very
snap,
right? Yeah,
the ground
one of very few openers that Protoss have to that are kind of like just go-to Protoss openers, right? That's why I actually do like the cost change because I think it adds up. Like it's a little bit more. It's like it doesn't feel as unfair. I think, it could cost 300 minerals as well. It can't cost gas though for the same reasons, right? Because gas is the gate to the Archon drops. Like you have enough gas, that's when the Archons happen, and when you do the Archon drop, not the minerals and the Warp Prism. Which is why you couldn't make it more gas, for example, the Warp Prism, because it would just completely fuck the Archon drops.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. The range is really important for Warp Prism harass Archons and Mortals. So I was kind of hesitant with when discussing and seeing this change. But it's definitely like the Warp Prism is probably right now the best unit in the game. So I feel like it needed something. And I'm not sure if this is too much because of the areas that it touches with the Immortal and the Archon drop, which I also like a lot. Maybe they should have just made it 300 minerals. Yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts on the Prism, guys?
Yeah, I think that a few Protosses are going to get caught out with that range. They're going to be like, oh, I think I can do this. And then just that extra last shot from the Queen's going to pick off that Prism. Yeah, so I'm a little bit worried about Challenger playoffs because I know there's a lot of really good Protosses that are going to be playing in Challenger playoffs. Like I fully expect, to see Neeb there and Showtime and Petit Drogo as well has been doing really well lately. All those guys, I'm sure. But hopefully they get their practice in and don't lose their Prisms. That's all I'm worried about.
All right. Also, carrier interceptor build time decreased from 11 to 9 seconds.
It was too long.
You guys keep maying, but like add those up with the infestor changes, and it's a little bit.
It's definitely a nice buff to late game Protoss for sure. I mean, I think it was like Harstem said that the build time to go from 0 interceptors back up to 8 was longer than it was to make a new carrier.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Yeah. So that gives you a bit of an idea of how slowly these interceptors, which are literally the lifeline of the carrier, if they don't have them, they are basically a flying MMR pinata.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised they went for the big infestor change and the carrier change instead of sort of feeling one out and then the other, seeing if just one was enough. I guess they tested enough.
They're both you can almost clump them up, I think, together.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the same change as far as I'm concerned. It really has to do with the same exact thing. I feel like you should be able to. This just came to me. You should be able to chrono boost your carriers to build interceptors.
That would be sick.
That would be cool.
That would be good use of those late game nexuses because you're not using your chrono boost for anything else at that point.
That is actually
that'd be awesome. Yeah, 200 energy on each nexus. I mean, you're not exactly going to be using it on recall because of that cooldown. So
yeah, you're building a mechanical unit.
I like
Blizzard
that a lot,
get on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's good. It's like late game PvZ right now is tough against the mass infestor. So no one is complaining about carriers. No one is. So let's do it. Let's try to bring them back a little bit. The strategic recall though, cooldown increased from 85 to 130. That feels pretty big.
That's big.
In my humble bad player opinion, that again, like that just feels like the biggest. Love you, cats. That feels like the biggest nerf to Protoss for me, because that recall cooldown is like, pretty huge, and they're very much used to the time. It's mechanical, right? You play enough StarCraft, the clock is in your brain. You're not watching that cooldown timer in your Nexus before you move out. It's in your brain. It's a clock. And that clock is going to take a lot of games to reset, and you're going to be out there with an attack or with a Warp Prism or something and go, shit, the skill call, as chat likes to call it, right? Time to go for the recall, get everyone out of jail free card. Here we go. And then, it's still on cooldown. It's still only 50% of the way there. So, yeah, that's a big change. Big nerf.
I agree. I think it punishes immobile armies from Protoss a lot. You counter-attack a Protoss who's maybe going for an Immortal Sentry kind of build or something like that. You can only recall once. You keep countering. They're going to take damage now. It's, 2 and a bit minutes. What is it now? 120 or 130? I can't remember.
It's 130.
It's going to 130.
130, yeah. So 2 minutes, 10 seconds. That's a hell of
which is what it was before when it had a bigger radius.
Yes.
So they essentially did a 2-step program to just directly nerf recall.
Yeah, that's actually a good thing to point out because that'll make it go into people's minds better. This is just kind of the old recall timing. It probably was too strong at 85.
Yeah,
to be honest, it's pretty. I felt like it was always off cooldown. It's just like, a drop, okay, recall.
Yeah. There was a lot of times where I was casting and I'd be like, I just used recall, like what felt like 30 seconds ago. I'm like, oh no, he's caught. Nope, never mind, they're gone. They're back to the Nexus.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's a hell of a change. It's not that far off doubling. I know it is. I don't know why I said that. It's another 60-70% on top of the time. Again, sometimes I think they go, they do 100 meters instead of just feeling out 20 meters, 30 meters, just feeling it out a little bit. They just go for these big changes. And sometimes I think a smaller change is okay. I know they want to refresh the meta and things between seasons, but we'll have to wait and see.
All right. So overall feelings on the patch, is this going to lead StarCraft 2 into a better direction, both balance-wise and play-wise? And is it going to make games more fun to watch for the viewers? Maynard, what do you think?
I don't know if it'll make the games better because the games are already pretty good without all these things. Do these things make the game? I mean, they might change the results of some of the games, but I don't know if they make them more entertaining. There's nothing specifically there. I get maybe except the recall and the prism thing where like someone could get caught or there's a big comeback because of, someone getting caught out in the map with something that they thought that they had a better cooldown with or a better range with. I don't know if it'll make the games more exciting, but I just I like that they're still showing attention to the game. You know, it still shows that the development team's still hard at work at the game and making sure that it's as fun for everyone. I'm not worried about it being broken because I think that if something was super broken, it usually gets fixed pretty quickly. Like I mean, super broken. Like when you had Mass Raven and you could kill a maxed out air army of Protoss like that. I remember shortly after that IM Katowice that you were at, Dan, where Maru was like eliminating maxed out armies with just spamming in that Raven ability, the Hunter Seeker missile, or the armored missile. That got nerfed pretty quickly after the IM Katowice, and then the Nidus that was 6 armor quickly lost an armor point after that tournament. You know, there's just like patches like bam, like rapid fire patches like that. Big ones like this, it's good to see that they're just paying attention to the game and listening, basically. A lot of people asked for these changes. A few of them they didn't, but I don't know. That's my thoughts on it. It's a little long-winded. Sorry about that, but no, I don't particularly think this is going to change. Just to summarize, I don't think it's going to make the games better particularly, but I think it definitely will freshen things up for people that play a lot of the game and watch a lot of the game.
Mm-hmm. Katz and Grant, you guys have any thoughts on the overall patch? Katz?
I like it. I think it's a good patch. It's pretty safe. It addresses a lot of problems. Specifically, I agree with Maynard, like the stim is kind of random. That was more of a power level type thing than anything else. Like, what can we touch that's not gonna fuck with everything, you know, type deal, and still do something for Terran against Protoss in that realm, in that area of the game. So yeah, I agree. I think that it is important though for StarCraft 2 that is a game that has an audience that is used to change, to continue to change, because it re-engages people. It's exciting for me as a player that plays a lot, like Maynard said, and you know, if you're casting a lot and you're gonna get surprised by the timings of the stim and shit like that, then that's a win for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Grant and myself, we barely understand to begin with, and then we're just hit with like that one less range. That like, oh, he's going to get a Warp Prism. No, he doesn't have that extra 50 minerals. I didn't realize that. Oh no.
You know, that's what I'm always talking about when I see you cast. Like a finals or something, Maynard. I'm always like, Katz, isn't it so cute what he thinks he sees right
he thinks he's people. One of those situations where you have like a little dog trying to do a trick. You're in the green room watching me cast going, oh, look at him, he's trying to be a commentator right now. Look at him go. Oh,
you and Tasteless casting a match together. I'm like, look, they're friends. Oh my god.
It's like watching that chimpanzee that chimpanzee use Instagram. Remember that video?
I feel like I've told Maynard so many times that he's my favorite hype caster, and he's probably replaying it as an insulting his head the entire time.
Yeah, I do now. I remember you saying that now. Yeah, every time he was just basically saying, "Fuck you, man. Get off the desk." Nah, no, I was kidding. But yeah,
that's amazing. All right. Well, that's the balance patch. Yeah, I think you guys are right. It's pretty good overall.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing what happens to Archon drop. I think that's the thing. The only thing I'm truly nervous about is is the only thing you're going to be able to do now is lay stasis wards as Protoss against Zerg. Is it going to make it very one-dimensional? I'm not sure. But okay. Thank you for that, guys. Let's jump forward to GSL versus the world. And we can kind of do a little bit of preview for this. All the voting did finish up. There was a little bit of drama, just like last year. Laser, I guess there was a very famous Polish YouTuber, I believe it was, that pushed for getting a Laser a bunch of votes. And I guess that
it was also his teammate, I think, technically, from a different game.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So that would make a lot of sense. But obviously that, you know, when you have anyone kind of helping and pushing, it's going to help you vote-wise. Of course, last year this happened with Kelliger. There was a very famous Brazilian YouTuber, I believe, last year that helped to push Kelliger. Yeah. So I just want to get your guys' thoughts on that overall. To be honest, I look at the World All-Stars. Let me go ahead and read it for anyone that's on audio. So the people who were directly invited for the race were Neeb, Special, and Cyril, and then China gets one automatically, and that's Time. And then the people voted in were Showtime for Protoss, Hero Marine for Terran, and then Elazer and Raynor for Zerg. So yeah, what do you guys think about the voting type of situation overall? This has happened 2 years in a row now where players got like a huge clump of extra votes, but does that matter? Like,
it's similar to that Nation Wars thing, right? Where like, do you want the best players? Do you want the most entertaining players? I think I would be more bothered by it if I didn't think that this was the best players that World could field. I think these are the best players for their representation. So I'm not. I don't bust this particular occasion. I don't know.
I feel like we're only, if you look at the World All-Star lineups, I'm like, okay, there's only Lambo and Scarlet are missing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. If you want to name absolute top players for the non-Korean scene, those are the only two that you can really argue belong here, in my opinion. And there's some other people that are right on the edge, but yeah,
it's definitely like, maybe it's arguable that maybe Elazer could be subbed out for someone else, but I don't know, man. He's right still there, a pretty solid pick. Yeah, he's right up there. I think he's a really solid pick. It wasn't like someone that's like a controversial streamer or something like that got voted in just because of having like a big fan base, which is the case for Nation Wars a couple times. But yeah, I don't know. I think fan voting is cool. I would actually like a vote from peers, similar to like one of those like Hollywood award shows where they don't actually open it up to the public, where the other pros vote who goes. I think that would be cool to try out one time.
I agree.
That would be awesome. As a different format, but I think what this tries to do is incite people to get engaged, right? To vote, to commit themselves to the tournament to a degree. To spread the word, to get behind these players, right? Like when players are committed, when you say something as a human being, once you say it, you're more committed to it. Now that's part of you, right? Like when you vote for someone, it's kind of like that, like it commits you to the tournament as well. So like the voting system in itself, I think it does a lot of good things, but it is clearly abusable. So it's a question for me of how you mitigate that abuse and how much or what kind of abuse is fine, because those people that voted for Elazer, they're not going to convert to viewers, sadly, right? Like they're making accounts, instructed on how to make the Team Liquid accounts by the YouTuber, then they go, they vote, and they fuck off. So I think that's probably not going to bleed many viewers or many eyes into the game. So that should be frowned upon because it's exploiting the system. But the system in itself, I think, is a good thing to have because it generates, hype, excitement.
I think one of the cool things that sorry, might have been a bit delayed there. I think one of the cool things that came from this voting was specifically on the Korean side. A lot of people are upset that innovation's not here, that fantasy's here instead, because fantasy is, by all accounts, a weaker player than innovation. But this is a fan vote because the whole idea was that fans would vote, and fantasy was pushing really hard to get those votes as well. He was streaming 12 hours a day, and then you know what he did to celebrate when he got voted in? He streamed for another 12 hours, and he was just thanking all of his fans and being really gracious about it and working really hard. Whereas innovation just sat there and let the votes come in. He didn't really care. It seemed like he didn't really care about being in this tournament or not. And I'm sure he would have played well and he would have done well if he was there. But fantasy really wanted it, and he got it. And I think that's wonderful. And I think that's something that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for fan voting being a thing.
I think Trap as well. It was really close for a while.
Yeah, Trap. Yeah, there's another example of the fans really coming through. And Trap, I think, deserves it.
And if it means the Koreans engage more with the foreign fans, I'm all for that. 100%, because those guys are so funny. So many of them are hilarious, and if they make that effort that little bit more, it makes them more marketable. It gets the foreign fans more involved in Korean scene, which is great. So yeah, I completely agree. I love it from that point of view.
Didn't TY get in by one vote as well? Yes,
and TY also said that he forgot to vote for himself.
Oh, that's funny.
These are the smartest pro gamers in the world, by the way. Starcraft pro gamers is the smartest.
Specifically him, even
specifically TY. Yeah,
smartest one. But yeah, he was. Wasn't he part of that 24-hour stream from the foreign house?
The Unity house. Yep.
Yeah, kind of cool to see everyone lobbying for themselves overall.
Okay. For their friends, like I think that's all good. That's a good thing. Yeah. So how do you fix the problem at hand, right? Like there's been a few ideas, like maybe if you purchase War Chest, based on that, you can vote or not vote, or maybe your Team Liquid account has to be 5 days old or something, you know. One day old gate.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Would make it so that those people wouldn't return like none of those people that voted for a laser, maybe like 10% would remember to come back the next day. Right?
Similar to the free-to-play ladder system where you have to have like 10 first wins of the day or whatever, like maybe like a certain number of forum posts per day, like you have to keep coming back to the forum for 10 days straight.
A single forum post would just gate.
Maybe the other way is
yeah.
Right?
Put it in the client, so they have to have the
put
game.
it in the client.
Yeah,
because that would be excellent. Yeah, if it's in the client, then those motherfuckers are gonna download the game, and then
they're not gonna do it. Even if it is free to play, couple of percent, and if they do download the game, maybe they'll play it and I can beat them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I guess if you link it to anything like that. Oh, seems like good ideas. Let's take a look at the bracket and see what you guys think about the main tournament, because I believe it is going to be also the team match, right, this year, as far as I know.
I'm pretty sure they're still doing that. Which was, it's good fun. And it kind of is part of the reason why, like, some evidence towards the fact that this might be more of like a fan tournament rather than a super serious balls to the walls tournament, like say I Am Katowice or something like that, where this is just sort of like a series of show matches with money on the line. But also, that spot. My only issue I think with this bracket is that there's I would like maybe like one less Korea versus Korea or World versus World series. Like, I'm not against it. But having two of them, I think, is a bit much. This is,
Let me read the bracket real quick for everyone that's not watching live. It's Dark versus Laser, and then Sue versus Time, Maru versus Stats. What the hell?
Yeah, so one of them's eliminated straight away.
Showtime. I know, right? And these are crazy matches. Neeb Showtime and Maru Stats. Like, wow. Cyril TY, Trap Hero Marine, Special Rainer, and Classic Fantasy. I almost feel like they should have done Korean Foreigner, but you got to be careful with that too, because then you might get like an all Korean bracket and
I think it's
they didn't do it last year, but I thought this year it would have been warranted. Like, that's what they should go off of, right? There's more of a foreign audience. Like, if foreigners stand a chance to do well, to represent themselves well, then it should be GSL versus the world, right? Rather than GSL versus GSL, and
I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to avoid the chance of it being exactly that, just a big Korean bracket. So I get it, but I think have a bit more faith in the world players. I think take it down by one series. That's what I think.
Exactly.
What do you guys think about the matches, though? The matches themselves. Is there one that stands out to you?
Yeah,
Cyril TY rematch, baby, right there from Home Story Cup Grand Final. That went to Game 7. That was a close as hell final.
I've got to say, Time.
Yes, Sue Time's amazing.
Time just showed he's got like some of the best TVZ ever. Sue was looking kind of sketchy.
I'm really worried that it's going to be a one-sided series, though. If I'm looking at series that could potentially be one-sided, I think that Time actually could crush Sue really, really quickly.
Oh, shit, I thought you were going to say
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
The fact that you put it that way.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about Sue one-sided victory. I'm saying Time one-sided victory, man. That kid's a god. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, if Time 3-0's Sue, I'm going to be very, very impressed with you, Maynard. But
cool.
Isn't he cute trying to be people? No
way.
He's trying
to be he's making predictions like he knows what the fuck he's talking about. Look at him go. He's in his little hamster wheel, man, trying to be a commentator.
Man, we have got some sick matches, though, actually. Like, even Dark Laser, which at first glance doesn't look that great. That's a rematch from BlizzCon, right? That's it's kind of a fun one from a couple years ago. Obviously, Maru's Stats. That's
heartbreaking.
That's how Maru died
last season. Yeah, as much as as hype as that series is, oh man, right off the bat though, that's a top 4 match for me, not a bottom of the bracket kind of match. Eliminating either Maru or Stats really kind of makes me go, really? Right off the bat? Come on, man.
I feel bad about Special Rainer, by the way, I want to say. Those are both people I just really want to see versus Koreans.
I think that would be a great series, though, because they're both so good right now. one thing that we all know is going to happen is Maru's going to lose before he gets to Cyril. Everyone wants that match. They're on opposite sides of the bracket. I guarantee you, Maru. It's just going to happen. Like, the world doesn't want us to see them in a big series. Yeah, I do think Reina and Special will be really good. I've been watching a lot of Special during the streams and stuff like that, and he looks so strong. And maybe I know Reina's still insanely good. He may have had a bad Asus, but he is absolutely. I mean, he's not quite Cyril, but he's not that far either. It'd be good.
What is your guys' take on the finals here? It's actually a little bit hard to predict. Like, who's in the grand final of this?
Fantasy.
I'm trying to do the bracket right now.
I'm thinking right now.
What did you say?
Fantasy versus time.
Fantasy versus time.
Fuck off.
Fantasy versus time. You're gonna stand by that one?
No, dude.
Do we all have to eat a shoe if that comes true? Because that's like a pretty safe bet. That's not happening.
If fantasy makes the finals, he's
incredible.
almost the biggest underdog when I look at this bracket. I'm like, no way. Going to the
I mean, if he beats Classic, even it would be amazing. I'm sad that he got Classic too, because Classic's like the guy right now that's like, he's always been like the best or the second best Protoss, but right now he's flying under the radar, so he's just gonna put fantasy down really quietly, I think.
I think the semifinal, I mean, it's hard. It's so hard to call, but I think the semifinal will be whoever wins between Cyril versus TY versus whoever wins between. Actually, I don't. If Reina beats Special, I could see Reina versus Cyril in the semis, or Reina versus TY. I think that Reina can beat Fantasy or Classic. In fact, Reina already did it in GSL. Well, that was a long time ago. But there's also, Trap, who's been voted in for a very good reason. I could see Trap killing Cyril or TY straight up in that series as well.
I would say my final.
It's so hard to call, man.
Trap.
But if I had to make a call, I would say that it would be maybe Cyril stats again. Wouldn't be a shock to me at all.
I'm going Trap, Maru, or Stats, whoever wins that series, because I can't call that one. The winner of Maru and Stats versus Trap. I think Trap's going to surprise people.
I'll say Cyril Maru.
That'd be so good.
The series everyone wanted from 2018.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm actually kind of leaning towards like a Cyril Stats as well. I actually think Cyril will take that bottom bracket.
I think TY
is
going to be
Trap into the finals. That's actually, I like the idea of the Trap call. That seems like kind of a smart dark horse bet here. This is going to be a good tournament.
It's kind of heartbreaking, but also kind of cool at the same time. But I do think that they could just as easily be TY beating Cyril and then upsetting everyone's predictions. Yeah, they were so closely matched. So closely matched.
I agree. I think it would be a great tournament. I know we can't say who's casting it, but I've spoken to a few people that I know are, and it's going to be absolutely, it's like world class, Obviously, you've already said you and Tasteless are doing it, and then some of the others are.
Tasteless is confirmed.
So fun for the viewer.
Tasteless is confirmed. Wouldn't that be really weird if we didn't cast that? They just flew people over to cast in our studio we work in.
It'd be Grant and Todd, man. Grant and Todd the whole way.
Broadcast.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, the Grod Archon.
He's already messaging me abuse on Facebook as we do this. So.
God.
Thanks, Todd. I love you.
Right. Any final thoughts on GSL versus the World before we jump forward?
Just watch it. It's
going to be amazing. If you miss it, you fucked up. You're not a real fan.
I think this is one of the few hybrid events that we have right now since Region Lock. So I would really like to see it be more GSL versus the World. That's
yeah. Wouldn't mind that change. Okay. Jumping forward, I just wanted to touch really briefly upon Nation Wars, because obviously the Nation Wars voting is open. People can go vote. You can vote like every day. It's something that comes up every year about the voting system and how that works. And because we were talking about the voting system here in GSL versus World, and we see how it turned out, which isn't necessarily that negative. Again, the World roster is super good. The Koreans really worked hard to get their votes and stuff. Just wondering if you guys have any thoughts on the way that Nation Wars is going down with the votes again this year.
Yeah, I'm in a few chats with like a bunch of European players and shit, and like trying to like explain or argue with them on this type of tournament is just fucking it's the worst.
Yes.
You know, it's like I'm like, well, I think the system's pretty good. They're like, it's a popularity contest. I'm like, yeah. You know, that's what it is, and that's okay. It's good for the scene, it's good for the game, it trickles. It's a different tournament. Not every tournament is this. And even starting from the point where it's like nation bound, it's already kind of, you know, unfair because Sugiliang is gonna get carried by Sarah, and meanwhile in Peru we're just fucked, right? So
Fuego.
I like this type of event.
Fuego, good old Smile.
People get Smile, my boy.
I love Max.
So that people get engaged, and it's a different way to do it, and I like it a lot.
Cool. Grant, you got any specific thoughts on what's going on with that?
Yeah, vote for Grim Reaper. Bring cannon rushes from the UK to a new level. No, I do agree. I think the big argument right now, especially within my friend group, because I'm very close with you, Thermal, is Rhett signed up. Rhett hasn't played for a long time. Rotty said he was 6.3 last year. But Agaham is very, very good right now and plays a lot. So Rhett's sort of a hidden commodity. And I love Rhett. You know, he's one of the all-time greats. But when these players come back, sign up, and we have no evidence if they're really that good right now, that kind of, if they could be taking a slot from someone who is really good, it can be sad. Like we said, it is a popularity contest. But then again, Rhett would bring viewers back. You know, some of the old guys want to see a game of drone. That's the guy.
I think there's even though Brett has a lot of fans from yesteryear, I do still think that most of the fan base for the Dutch team are going to be the two guys who are going to be voted in. Like, you know, Thermal and Hastam's going to be there, and I feel like they have more active fans now than Rhett does. I personally been voting for Agaham as well as far as Dutch goes, and I'm one of those people that's having a really good time just having a big selection of players to vote from. I actually really love it, and I love it that I don't have to log in, I don't have to do any like sync with Twitch or anything like that. I just click there, I push a button, and I vote, and it's so easy. I mean, everyone that's not voting, like, start doing it now. You can actually make a big difference to some of these players.
And one thing that I've seen this year that I thought was wonderful is there's people making Reddit threads, not even on behalf of like their favorite person, but like these are the cannon rushers, so that people that like cannon rushes can vote for cannon. I thought that was cool.
Print F. That was sick.
Like someone made a Reddit thread that was like people that are expected to cannon rush and others that are likely to cannon rush. You know, like that kind of initiative. Like that's what this brings, and it's fun and it's cool, and yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
And Team China has like 20 players. What the fuck is like? It's like every SC2 player from China is signed up to be voted in, and I'm like, oh god, this is actually hard to choose. There's so many. I mean, obviously time, but who's the other two?
Time.
You know, there's lots of it.
I think it's going to be another fun event. I'm really glad it's back. The O Gaming guys do fantastic with it. They were really excited at Home Story Cup when they announced it. Funko was like bouncing around. It is a great event no matter what, even if there's, I think a little bit of controversy is fun, you know? It's creating discussion again. It's getting people talking on Twitter. It's getting people engaged. Engagement's so important right now to keep things as strong as they are and keep them growing again.
I think similar to GSL versus the World, or maybe even more so than GSL versus the World, to me, Nation Wars is a fan tournament.
Yes.
It's like, you know, you have players that are heads and shoulders above the others, but you don't care because they're representing your country. And it's a national pride thing, which is the whole idea. And I think that in that regard, the voting's, there's no controversy for me. I think vote in the most popular player. I know Roddy's got some strong feelings on it. He in particular thinks that maybe like a committee of pros from whichever region should be voting who goes in for each country to make sure that they have the best team. I think that was his stance there, or something like that.
I think advocating for fairness in any of these grounds is just like not the best way to go about it. I think that you go for the most viewers and the most engagement and what's going to grow the game, and then fairness will trickle because there will be more for everyone.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
it's been really nice for me.
Oh, go ahead.
It's been really nice for me going and seeing, like, I follow some like Vietnamese people on Twitter, seeing them talk about the Vietnamese candidates, I'm learning about all these new players that I won't know about, you know.
Mia Micah and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Mia Maker, and then there were a couple, I don't remember their names. But seeing them and seeing the arguments, it's so nice to see like people getting engaged for their countries. And even like the UK, we're not the best StarCraft nation, but there's arguments, you know, Risky wants these people. I'm really pushing for Grim Reaper because
Risky,
he's
the Australian player?
Yeah, New Zealand.
The New Zealand player, excuse me, mate. That's like confusing an Irishman with a Scottishman.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
You get stabbed for that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's good, you know, but just vote Grim Reaper, please. Bring him in.
I like all the extra stuff that it does bring out. Like the M Canning videos are always
so
one of the highlights of the StarCraft year.
This was amazing as well.
I know, he's so good. And
I mean that's the dream for the organizers is a multiple M Cannings, right?
Yeah. Well, that's just a dream to grow StarCraft overall as more people like M Canning. But yeah, it's just it's fun to see. I love seeing that like Rhett has come out of the woodwork to play in this. I mean, I feel for the other players in the region. This is something I had to put up with for many years. Is he'll be retired and then come back, and a week later he's better than the guy that played all year. And it's like, yep, that's Rhett. He's just more talented than you. Sorry. You know, it makes it exciting. I like to see some of these other players playing as well, to be honest. Like when, you know, I brought it up last year as well. When Nathanius played, I caught the Nathanius games. I'll tell you that. Like that
was
that's
fucking fun, dude. I remember that. Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah. It was 2 years ago that he played. Yeah.
Yeah. And they just did the Skype calls, and he's got like he's wearing all his American stuff. He's got his aviator sunglasses on, and that's the shit that you want to see, man. It's for the fans.
That is.
Yeah.
So excellent stuff.
One more thing that I love is Finland. It had like a bunch of registered players.
That's good.
Oh, he's muted again. Sorry, man.
Yeah, it's like the Serral effect, right? Like you have a god in your region now, so you better start playing StarCraft. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Serral effect.
The Finnish guys are so funny. Fuser nearly killed me at Aces ROG. Yeah, those guys are incredible, but God, do they party hard.
Yeah, Finns definitely do. You can see the M Canning video here. My God, he's so good. Guys, make sure you go and vote for Nation Wars. You can do it like every day. You can actually go back and vote, right? Every single day. So you definitely can make a difference if you have players that you really want to see there. So congrats to the O Gaming crew, and looking forward to that. We'll definitely cover it more as it gets further along. All right, just real quick, we're gonna jump into GSL and ASL. GSL we won't go into in depth right now because it's still 3 weeks until it comes back. This is just a huge pause. People might be wondering why GSL Code S is paused for so long. ACES came up, and a bunch of the players from the round of 16 were flying over to play in it, so everything kind of got pushed back. This also pushed back. We just announced Super Tournaments pushed back 1 week. So if you were planning on doing anything around that, please take note. So yeah, it's going to be about 3 weeks until GSL Code S round of 16 starts, and we'll do a preview of that in the Pylon Show in 2 weeks to make sure that we.
Is TY ever going to actually commentate as someone that's hired as a commentator? It just seems like.
I know, right?
Is anyone going to actually eliminate this commentator that they hired? Is it just going to be Sue filling in for him every time?
I find that like extra funny because
me too. Yeah, I love it.
Like Sue comes in second place in tournaments, but then also second place in
commentary. Yeah.
So it's like as soon as TY is out of the truth, they're like, "All right, get the fuck out of here, Sue. Bring TY. Come on."
Yeah, it's Bill's replacement, man.
Yeah. So. Yeah, definitely we'll talk about that more in the future. ASL is going on right now as well. For a quick little preview of that, right now we are in the round of 8. We've done the first half of the round of 8. We had some kind of surprising matches. Snow just absolutely beasting through last. He 3-0'd him. I don't know if any of you guys watched that, but it was brutal.
I did.
He looked pretty good, didn't he?
He looked pretty amazing. It actually looks like unkillable in that matchup, I think. I don't think Terrans can actually kill him. I don't think so.
That's okay, because we have someone who uses the Terran race technically on the other side of the bracket that I think can take.
We do.
We'll see about that.
We do. And I'm also, as a side note, really excited for Action to be in that spot up there as well, because I became a big fan of Action. Even though everyone loves Jaedong, specifically, I remember watching Action versus Jaedong in ASL a few seasons back, where he like used this really cool strategy, like aggressive Nidus, similar to like what you would do in StarCraft 2, where normally the Nidus is like a macro tool for Zerg and for defending, right, in Brood War. But he used it aggressively with like a lurker rush against Jada. Oh, it was the sickest thing ever. It's like just a strategy that you don't really see, and it was really hyped and fun. And can't remember what map it was on. I like Sylphid, I think, or whatever. I can't remember the pronunciation of the map, but I remember watching it and just going, "Oh, I'm a fan of this Zerg. This Zerg is so exciting. He's like a different Zerg, and to see him in top 4 is really, really exciting for me."
No, it feels right. I used to live with Action when he was on the Eastro team, and he was actually gaining a lot of notoriety at that time. And this was before he was good enough to play on TV, as being like the hardest or one of the 2 hardest practicing players in the Korean scene. He simply put in more hours than everybody and continues to do so. So just watching hard work pay off in such a way is really, really super awesome. So yeah, him versus Snow. I mean, if they play like they did in the round of 8, Snow is going to 3-0 him. But hopefully, Action was, I think, really nervous against Sharp. This is the furthest he's been in ASL as of yet, and that was a bit of a dumpster fire of a match. They both were screwing up a lot, and you could see a lot of frustration in both their faces.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. Action's run stops here, but it was cool to see him get this far.
Yeah. Over on the other side of the bracket, which we are doing on Sunday and Tuesday, it's Flash versus Light and Rain versus Saxry. So it looks like a really obvious Flash Rain semis, but Saxry's been doing well lately.
Wait, is Flash playing this then? Didn't he announce that he's done competing?
Yeah,
is
Flash? Yes.
His tournament?
That's right. So Flash just announced his, not only does he have wrist problems, but his shoulder is now really screwed up as well. So he has said that this is his last tournament until the Army, because he just needs to take time off. He's going to tone down to playing only 2 to 3 games per day maximum, and he'll keep streaming and stuff. But this is his last tournament. So he also said in that video, which Jin translated, he's been translating some awesome videos for the foreign scene. So thanks to him. Flash mentioned that like he's going to go all out to win this one. Like this is it.
That's scary for everyone else in this bracket. If Flash really, really wants this tournament, I think all these people are going to be quaking in their boots.
Yeah, and they already should have been, but like I mean, I tell you, I always hope he wins, but especially this time. So yeah,
the storyline,
the true legend of the game. Okay, so that's ASL. You can check that out on Sunday and on Tuesday. These next 2 matches, it's so good at this stage. Like even if you're not that much of a Brood War player, these best of 5s are amazing. We do 1 best of 5 in a night, and it's super cool. And we've switched over to best of 7 for the finals, which is cool as well.
It's a long broadcast. Best of 7 in Brood War is a long series.
That's a long match right there, most likely. Unless Snow just keeps on this killing streak. I don't know.
It's 4-0 Snow, it just ends.
Actually, to be fair, if Rain gets to the finals, then it will be a very quick night, because that guy can't lose a PvP. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
That is true.
All right. That does all of our topics, which means it's time for Patreon questions. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't read them ahead of schedule, so I like to be surprised.
Oh, that's good. I did not read them either. But let's go ahead and...
Are they available to me, right? I didn't even know.
Huh?
I don't know where you can get them from, but I'm sure you can.
Okay.
To read them. Oh, no, they're on the website. There you go.
Yeah, you submit them in there, and then we have a channel in the Discord that they all get posted to as well. Okay, let's go ahead and start this. Of course, guys, if you want to ask questions of the show, we answer every single one of them that is asked via the website, which you have to be a Patreon to do. So the pylonshow.com. You can submit them up there at the top. Anyways, Dreadhead21 asks, if Blizzard suddenly decided to not support SC2 with WCS to stimulate the esports scene, how well do you guys think that the community would be able to keep the scene on its feet on its own, considering how well Home Story Cup is doing, etc.? So the question, let me rephrase this real quick. Blizzard cuts WCS. Does StarCraft 2 keep up to date? Does it do all right, the pro scene? What do you guys think?
I mean, I don't think we live in a world where that's not going to be a giant blow to the game, where we are going to lose a lot of pro gamers for sure. So that will definitely affect the pro scene extremely heavily. Like, I can't even imagine a world where that doesn't happen. But I do think that the community will keep the game going, and there will be pros that stick around. But what does it look like? Like, are we talking, Scorched Earth, Fallout 3, where there's only a few buildings and a few people alive, or is it going to be a relatively healthy community-run tournament scene like Smash Melee and that sort of thing, which are games that have lasted forever, and Brood War, of course, another game that's lasted forever with very little support from Blizzard until recently with ASL and KSL and stuff, and remastered. I personally think that it's. I have a lot of faith in the community. The community has actually shown, recently, because of current events as well. I've just recently learned how deeply this community cares about community figures and StarCraft in general. And I knew that they did, but to the extent that they do, I had no idea until, with Jeff passing and that sort of stuff. Just the messages that you read and the donation drives for Home Story Cup and everything. It does give you a lot of hope that the community could make this game look really good if Blizzard decide to pull funding, which I don't think they'll do for a long time. Personally, I think they've learned from the Heroes HSC. I think they've learned that just cutting the head off of it is a massive mistake, and scaling it back slowly over time is the way to go, if they really need to scale it back over time.
Yeah. Once upon a time, I would have said that the Korean scene would die without the Blizzard funding. But to be honest, Heroes of the Storm was revived by Afrika TV and fans. Fans like donated a bunch of money and stuff. So I'm not so sure that the pro scenes would die all the way. I don't think
it would die. I think it would hurt, though.
Yeah. I think it would be very interesting to see Rifkin become basically Thanos with all the Infinity Gems and watch
all the tournament circuits are in his gauntlet.
Yeah. All the haters crawling back to him like, no, we're so sorry for what we said about you on the forums.
Yeah. What did it cost you, Rifkin? Everything.
Yeah.
That's great. I think that this is an ongoing sentiment, and probably a question that pops out a lot for people that stream and for the show and so on and so forth. And I think that it has to do with how Blizzard has been behaving as a company in recent history, right? With Heroes of the Storm, with the layoffs, knowing that certain teams are like in a no longer growing, and in some ways diminishing even, right? I am confident that there will be support next year, and I say this because I think it's really bad to spread the sentiment that that's not the case, and I feel like that's the sentiment that's going around right now. So I'm a consultant with Blizzard. I don't know for sure that there will be something next year, but I am I think that it is very, very likely. So people can diffuse a little bit as far as if it wasn't the case, or when it isn't the case, because nothing lasts forever. Will the community be able to support it? Well, that's up to the community, right? Like the person asking that question, like, are you gonna put a grain of salt, a grain of sand, to contribute? Because if you are, and if everyone does, and if the right message gets spread, and if people get on the same page, yes, absolutely. But we have to get on the same page. And Smash was mentioned. Smash is a great example of that. And I always bring this example up because I'm the owner of Root, and when we looked into getting into Smash, even though it was considerably smaller than StarCraft 2, their community was extremely vocal at reaching out like random community members to me that they don't even know who I am. They just know that I have a team that's interested in Smash, and they're recommending me all these players and doing all that they can to spread their community and their content. So long as this is the sentiment that goes around and spreads, then yeah, absolutely.
I mean, just as an example of how good the community is, Jenna Bain just spent $1,000 on subs for this channel.
Jesus.
Wow.
Oh my God. Jenna, thank you so
There you
much.
go. That's the Starcraft community right there. And that's one of us. You know, she's a powerful
200
figurehead, but
subs.
she's just one of us, and we are Legion. So, yeah.
That's absolutely immense. I
That
think
is huge.
as long as we're very lucky to have an older community who has a little bit of financial, you know, a lot of the people are more financially
very
secure.
true.
You look at League, you look at Overwatch, sure, they may be bigger, but they're all like 12. You know, their pocket money to sub to their favorite streamers. We're very lucky to have a lot of supportive people, even like in my friend group, my smaller friends. They put on tournaments all the time. You know, I'm a patron to quite a few different places because I just want to give back and support these things. And when you're an adult, it's a lot easier to do so. So I do think we'd survive. I think a lot of the full-time pros who maybe aren't doing that well would have to do other things. You know, we would lose full-time pros. Maybe the overall level would drop in the mid-table, so to speak. But I think we'd hang on. It's such a strong, stable community.
Yeah. It cares so deeply about the game.
Yeah, more than anything.
Now, on the flip side of what you just said, though, because I agree, and I think that's an excellent point. But on the flip side, we tend to be quieter than other communities because of that, right? Because there's more maturity, there's like less flaming and spiciness and inciting. And I don't know, I read sometimes other community forums just to have a laugh because they're fucking funny, you know? They're just so reverent. But So you know, I think that's great, but yeah, people have to be willing to make noise as well, and that might be as important, if not more so.
I agree.
Really good answers. Thank you for the question, Dreadhead21. All right, moving on. Maybe a less serious one here from Nets. What's your guilty pleasure? Let's see. Grant, what's your guilty pleasure?
Oh, no, me first. Pokemon. Like Special, I follow competitive Pokemon. I'm obsessed with it. It's an actual piece. I watch YouTube videos all day. It's awful. That'll be mine.
Excellent.
Oh, and I have a Protoss tattoo. So that too.
Oh, okay.
So like they should be guilty about that.
Cannon Rush. Actually, these are coming out now. Yeah, I Cannon Rush like a lot.
Okay. Cannon rushing is a better response for guilty pleasure.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
What's your guilty pleasure, Maynard?
Heroin.
I was just sitting there. I mean, heroin's a big one. Crack cocaine. No, I don't know. Oh God, a guilty pleasure.
It's hard, isn't it?
There are some songs that, you know, a lot of people know that I'm like a metalhead, and I'm a pretty big fan of a lot of like really obscure metal bands, and I really love metal, and I really love like really technical music that's really, really hard to play. But there are some dance songs that I know front to back, and would be more than happy to belt out on my own.
Okay.
Despacito is actually one of them.
It's a banger.
It's a banger, yeah. But there's a few EDM like top 40 tracks that a lot of metalheads would look down their nose at, that I'm like, you know what? I'll put this on in the car at max volume. I'll have a good time.
All right. Cats, how about you? Some guilty pleasure.
I want to say carbs and Artosis stream once in a while.
I'm not guilty. I'm not guilty for loving this stream. I am. Oh, that's so good.
For me, maybe Cheez-Its and combos. You can't get either of those in Korea, so
I don't know what either of those are.
They're
American snack
junk
foods
snacks.
Like,
junk snacks.
Okay.
Just Cheez-Its, I tell you, and combos. Those are amazing. I wish that they sold
MSG in a box. It's good stuff.
Probably better for me that they don't. Yeah, no, it's it's like cheese flavored cardboard MSG flakes. Okay, they're both amazing. Thank you for the question, Nets. All right, from Alpaca Fury. Would you consider a segment where each person proposes a gameplay change based on buffs that is so big it would have to be done between years? Hosts must have a new suggestion each week, forcing them to be creative. Example, change the speed of teching up, change economy, buff a certain unit creatively.
Isn't that just Fear Dragon's Twitter?
Don't. He DMs me them as well now. They're awful.
Does he now? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I've got a few. Wait, I'm going to find a couple of these because they are so funny. Fear Dragon. Where's your
I mean, I don't know if I'd want a show, like a regular show for it. I do like having big changes every year. I think that's good for the game.
Yeah.
But a show? I don't know.
I feel like we brainstorm on it a slightly every time the balance patches come up, but yeah, it probably would never be a completely new thing.
I'm going to give you one. What if Ravagers
Oh.
could morph back into roaches for 25-25 to regain all health? What if shield batteries healed enemy Protoss units? Disgusting.
Oh my god. That's
right?
the stupidest thing I ever heard.
I know. He loves it. What a guy.
All right. Thank you for the question, Alpaca Fury. From Ivysaur EG, is Artosis aware that he's not changed his pinned tweet since 2018? I am aware only because Cobra Venom told me that I should change it months ago. I will change it, I promise. God. All right. Yeah, no, it's
misleading information. I look radioactive right now. He said you can turn your light back on. I turned off the green screen, but I'm pretty sure I look radioactive still.
Yeah.
You look very orange right now. You have a spray on tan or something.
You look like you should be on Love Island, which is something only.
Yeah.
That's the webcam. I turned off the green screen.
Jersey Shore cats.
Yeah.
Next question. Enescu asks, don't know if we have a show this week. Just want to jump in and say rest in peace, Jeff. You made me laugh so many times. I wish I'd supported the show earlier so I could write more questions for you to make fun of the show, and the community will miss you. Very, very well said. We'll be having a memorial show about Jeff next week, so thank you. From Max Pena to Dan, Matt, guests, and everyone who made the show possible, thank you for providing us with the opportunity to see Jeff most in his element. Having lively discussion with friends. GG. Question. What do you think was Jeff's proudest accomplishment? His proudest accomplishment.
I don't know if we have the right to answer that on his behalf.
No.
Yeah.
I could say I think it's best if I go and say the moment that made me laugh the most. I go back to that Asus tournament with Too Good and Jeff. I still watch that video probably 6 times a year because it makes me laugh so much. And also the time where I'm chatting with some friends and he goes, Apollo! And he goes, you're not Apollo, fuck off. And I'm like, oh, okay. Completely jokingly, He just goes, I wish you were Apollo. And I'm like, thanks, Jeff. I love you too.
There's so many of those moments.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if we can answer that, man. It's kind of.
Yeah, I guess we don't know what his proudest moment was. I'll throw out my proudest moment of him that comes to mind when we were in a nation war against Russia in StarCraft 1, and Russia had really strong players, and Europe, I mean, just like in StarCraft 2, a little bit arrogant about its skill level, and Jeff all killed them. And they were like choosing maps and shit, and like they put their absolute strongest lineup, and Jeff just did not lose at all. He just killed everyone, and that's always something I think of as a very proud moment of his skill.
He got to travel the world. He had tens of thousands of fans and friends, and everyone was a friend to him.
I think his proudest moment was likely some sort of joint effort, like some kind of joint effort where he brought others with him to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
it might even be this show. We don't know.
Quite possibly.
All right. Thank you for the sentiment and question, Max Pena. From Aaron McLeod. I just want to say sorry for all your loss. Thank you so much for putting on the show. Jeff really showed us how much he loved the community and the game. Going to miss him. Definitely, we all agree with that. Thank you.
Yeah.
From Sate Zero. Deepest wishes and thoughts to those affected to whatever degree with Jeff's passing. It's a terrible thing for how sudden it seems, and I can't imagine a suit without him. Question, is it though get played out, or was it the most eternal catchphrase of all time? Thank you for the sentiment. I would say it's not played out, and you will see it said in the future without doubt.
At least a couple times per week, I have an "Is it though" mug that I drink my morning coffee out of, and I think about Jeff every time.
That's so good.
And we now know how many times
there it is.
Maynard washes his dishes.
I don't have that many mugs, so they have a 1 week rotation.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. from Foot4264, no question here. SC2 and particularly this show have brought me so much joy. Honestly, I can't express enough. My thanks to you, Dan, Matt, and Jeff. I hope Jeff and you guys know that what you helped create has had a massive impact on a lot of people. I'm forever grateful for you. Thank you for the kind words. All right. Zesty asks, we're here, we love you, and may your pylons be forever powered. Thank you for everything, Jeff and Taro.
Oh, God.
Dan,
I don't know how you're keeping it together, Dan. I'm struggling.
Yeah, I had to take a breath there.
Express my appreciation and thankfulness, everything you all do and have done to shape lives and bring everyone light around you. Thank you much. Nahyan asks, a little shout out to our unsung heroes, the observers of Starcraft, the camera guy. How does one become an observer? Is that something you apply for with minimum 10 years of experience?
Well, then what the fuck's Mapu doing there? He needs 10 years of experience in observance.
Mapu's so good, though.
He is so good, yeah.
Are observers all people that were kind of commentators and then just were good at observing? That's what it feels like.
I don't know how you apply to become an observer.
I think they reach out to you.
I mean, I think I know. I think I know. Last time around, they were looking for an observer here, and they asked me if I wanted to do it. And I was like, no, I'm bad. And then I know that they asked for basically like samples of your work. So you would want to observe clan wars and observe, like smaller events so that they can see whether or not you're capable of following the action and not making a mess out of it. So there's definitely skill sets that you can develop as a good observer.
Yeah, well, good observers are like having another caster.
Yes.
Is the way that I've always looked at it. Like if you look at the observers, the really great observers that we've had, they've just been unbelievable. Like Mapu is so good at observing at this point. Yeah. Adebisi was always great.
Funka, Indy.
Funka, yeah. Funka was like, Funka in his prime when he was observing like all the events, he was like better than a commentator, man. It was, I was doing a lot of events then. And so I was always having Funka observe. He would catch things in a storyline manner or something. It was really wild.
Yeah.
He was just, these top observers are just amazing.
I love that Mark has a personality when he observes. He'll type, he'll weird things on the map. I've always said, I was chatting with him at
Mark's amazing.
He's so good, so good at what he does. And he travels from Japan for these events. Like, it's insane.
Some of the observers definitely had a signature. I remember when games ended for Funka, he would do like the infinity symbol on the victory screen, and that was a very Funka thing. Yeah.
So I don't know how that you apply for that. We're gonna have to do a Pylon episode with observers. I never even thought of doing it. That we should do that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Right. Thank you for the question.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Okay. GT Buzzsaw asks, what is your favorite show / podcast other than the Pylon Show? Doesn't have to be Starcraft related. My favorite is Binge Mode - Game of Thrones. What's your favorite shows and podcasts, guys?
It's been the Joe Rogan podcast for a very long time.
That's a good
big fan of that. I think he's like a guy that's one of the best hosts and interviewees I've ever seen. He's had some really difficult guests that are very eccentric and weird and honestly like a little bit socially like not quite there, but he'll still turn it into a great interview somehow. He's just brilliant in that regard. And you know what? I'm warming up to that young caster Nick Tasteless Plots podcast as well. He's had some pretty interesting guests on. Still waiting on that donation goal, of course, but the guests keep coming, and they are all people that I'm interested in hearing from. Like even I dip my toe in the fighting game scene as well. Like I play a few fighting games. I just love the 1v1 aspect of dueling in esports, just the one guy against another guy, and fighting game gives that to me. So I loved having when he had Core Gaming on. That was a really sick podcast with a lot of great information. So anything like that. Those two podcasts are probably my favorite shows of podcast related, but I don't know about TV shows.
Do you have a TV show that you really like though?
Favorite TV show? At the moment, it is The Expanse.
Oh yes, I've just started that.
A lot of people have been telling me that.
Yeah, it's good.
If you like sci-fi, it is a very like the things that it nails is it just gets that really like it feels immersive, like it feels real. Even though it's a sci-fi with like special effects and that sort of thing, they're not too heavy on the special effects. It's actually quite like practical. You know, it's very much a lot of scenes with people in offices, and it's a political thing with a little bit of action there, but also like the whole extraterrestrial threat sort of thing in the background, which is also really cool because it's not your regular gray people alien thing. It's actually something really different and cool. So I highly recommend that show to people that like sci-fi shows. Yeah.
Cool. Grant, what's your favorite podcast? What's your favorite TV show?
Podcast, I've kind of got two. H3H3 will always be up there. I think Ethan and Ela are like the funniest people on the planet. And seeing them have their kid and stuff was just like absolutely amazing. And the interviews they do are really good, really, really funny. I also like the Totally Football Show, which is a UK soccer show.
You can say football. It's okay. We know what you're talking about.
Good. I don't want you guys thinking about any, hand egg. Yeah, that as well. Really, really funny. There's this guy called Ian McIntosh, and he's just the funniest dude ever. He should be a stand-up comedian, but he just talks about football. As for TV shows at the moment, I'm watching The Boys on Amazon, that new superhero one. Todd was watching it like all the time at ASUS ROG. He'd be on his phone watching it in between series and stuff. It's really good. I also love
in between mouthfuls of cotton candy.
Oh, dude, I bought him 3 big boxes of it just to keep him happy. Also, The Last Kingdom on Netflix was like one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Cool.
It's criminally underrated. I think that's fine.
All right. Katz, how about you?
I don't really listen to podcasts. I listen to the like half of Elon Musk and to the episode with Naval Ravikant, brilliant guy. But I can't stand Joe Rogan, so I don't really do podcasts.
Really?
Yeah, I just can't.
Okay.
Like in the Elon Musk episode, I think he asked the same question like 30 times in the first 45 minutes, and I just stopped. He asked Elon Musk like, "How do you do it? How do you find the time to do all this?"
That's actually an example of when you have someone that's really socially difficult and very hard to interview on your show, and it took him about 45 to an hour to actually get him out of his shell. Then they actually had a conversation, and that's actually an example to me of when you can be good.
Maybe after the first 45 minutes, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, like he got him to open up.
What I read from it was, wow, like Elon Musk has been answering the same question because the answer is clearly like, oh, I actually don't do all of it because how could I, right? I just delegate and shit. And I feel like that's what he was trying to say over and over again, but he kept getting hit with the same question because I think it was going over his head. So I just stopped. Maybe it got good after that.
Fair enough. It does get a lot better.
Shows, maybe I'll check it out, the Elon Musk episode. And for shows, just to be different, I think one of my favorite shows is Suits. And for anyone that really likes like strong character development, that's kind of my jam. So Suits is a really good show for that.
Okay. For me, I listen to a lot of different podcasts. I think that the best podcast by far is the Pylon Show, of course, but I don't listen to it because I'm on all the episodes. But Hardcore History is really the best one. That one is so ludicrously good. But yeah, I like Joe Rogan and stuff like that, Tim Ferriss, and all those are really good. As far as TV show, I don't know. It's like, I guess I'll watch one and then I've watched all the episodes and then it's not my favorite anymore. Maybe my favorite all time, maybe it was like Battlestar Galactica or something. Actually, I think the one I'm excited about right now to watch, because I'm like going through Stranger Things new season right now, but I'm always very excited for Orange is the New Black. Very surprisingly.
I just watched the last season. I
really like that show. I haven't seen the new season at all yet, so no spoiler.
I'm just finished watching it a few days ago.
Yeah,
I'm actually with you on that. Like, I kind of shell the show when I'm done with it. I'm with you on that. That's why I'm thinking about The Expanse, because it came to the front of my mind because it's the show that I'm actively watching right now, and I feel like when it's over, I'll probably like something else. I don't know, but if I had to actually go back and pick a greatest of all time, I actually am going to say Breaking Bad.
Yeah, that
greatest of all time.
That was you're probably objectively correct about that.
Yeah,
it's one of the very, very few shows that actually had a beginning, middle, and end from the beginning. And the writers knew how it was going to end. They knew all the twists and turns, and it felt like a cohesive product.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know, I mean, one of the big examples of when it's done badly is like a show like Lost, where they just keep tacking on story onto it. They're like, okay, we have an idea for the first season, but then we're just going to wing with it. And we're just going to wing it, come up with stuff on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for the question, GT Buzzsaw.
Shout out to the Pylon Show, the greatest show on the internet.
Asks, what is your voting strategy for Nation Wars? Do you go for the highest MMR, the most recent champions, the fiercest photo? Does Gemini browbeat you with daily trap tweets? Do you vote for players that provide fun games and cannon rushes? Do you vote to sabotage enemy nations? Vote for cats for Peru.
I hope those last two things aren't related.
How do you guys do your votes? I go straight to the America page and click on M Canning. What about you?
Yeah, I begin with M Canning and then it's just all downhill from there. I don't know. I've actually been picking players that I feel are the strongest.
Okay,
that's what I've been doing. Yeah.
I pretty much.
Oh,
Cats is muted again.
Oh, Cat's muted again. Sorry, mate.
Cats are muted.
Oh, am I alive now?
There you go.
You are.
I do the same as a general rule, but then if someone puts in a little bit extra effort, then I vote for them, and I don't vote for anyone that didn't upload a picture because that's just minimal effort. So I didn't vote for Neeb here.
Yeah. So like I actually voted for a guy for Finland.
And I love Neeb.
That just is wearing a bunch of Finnish like flag gear. Mixing. Yeah. I don't know him very well. I mean, Zugliang and Cyril obviously are my other two picks, but I'm like, who do I pick for a third for Finland? And I see this guy, I'm like, oh, national pride, there it is, and he uploaded a picture. A for effort, there's a tick.
Yeah.
For me, I've got especially in Europe, it's hard because I have a lot of friends I have to vote for, or they'll beat me up. So like,
I can't see your vote history.
Thermal, they're watching. I like to go for the more entertaining players. You know, like I said, I'm a big Grim Reaper. Is like, I just love the guy. He's funny. He's from the UK, so he gets my vote every time. And then if I don't know the players, I'll look at pictures or I'll look at Twitter. I've seen so many people, you know, campaigning for their countrymen, and if they're good enough to have won someone over like that, then fuck it, you can have my vote.
Cool.
If I don't know you.
Well, I think there's definitely no wrong answers here. Good ones for y'all. Thank you, Alessandro, for the question as always. From NeosteelEnthusiast, the Finnish crowd at ROG was great. I noticed loud cheers for all player intros and hype plays throughout, including those playing against Sterile. What StarCraft event crowds have been the best and the worst in your opinion?
Ooh.
Dude, the Polish crowd is always amazing. Like, especially that Krakow tournament that we did, where it was like Mana versus...
The one that Mana won?
Well, he got second, didn't he, to Lil Bao? And then that made Lil Bao get into BlizzCon, right?
Yeah, right. And then you know, 3-0 defeat to he who should not be named. I remember that.
I think that Poland and Australia were the two crowds that I really always remember.
We actually have a small but very like, I mean, just in general, our crowds in Australia are pretty insane. Like I've been to IM Sydney before. I was there once as a commentator. Like we just had our challenger basically as a stage event there. And then on the final day, stuck my head into the CS:GO arena, and it was hype as hell. And even just, you know, we had like between 10 to 40 people in the crowd watching StarCraft 2 in our side community stage, and they were still loud and still getting hyped and jumping out of their chairs. And when you came down, there was what, like 300 or 400 people, something like that, out there in that venue back like 7 years ago now.
Yeah,
but it was awesome. Pretty incredible. I'm gonna have to say Poland for hypest crowd. The Nation Wars guys are incredible. They're always really sweet and super passionate. You can just tell that they're just giant fans of the game and they love every player. Like they will obviously cheer louder for some other than others. They have a lot of national pride. So whenever Nurtio's on stage or a Laser, they will always get really, really hyped for the Polish player. But they also love the Korean players as well, who come in as basically like, I don't know, the enemy, I guess, because a lot of the Polish crowd want to see the Polish player win or the, you know, Cyril win, but they love all the Korean players. There is no player that they aren't hyped to see. There's fans for everyone. The little not even that little of a theater that we've had for the last couple of IEM Katowices when the crowd first comes in. You know, like the last 3 days, I think, of IEM Katowice actually have a crowd. The others are just a studio broadcast. It's packed to the rafters. There was tweets of just lines of people trying to get in that couldn't. And this is for like the opening day, you know, and the final day, that massive arena. A lot of them, and that's the other thing, is that a lot of the people in that crowd for IEM Katowice in the final arena are waiting for another game for CSGO, but they will get hyped and get behind the StarCraft final as well, just because they just, I mean, it's hard not to be with an atmosphere like that, you know. It's just they just love esports, I guess, and specifically StarCraft. That community is really, really, really passionate.
Yeah.
Worst crowd? All right.
I vaguely recall a crowd that booed for some people, which I didn't like, and I can't remember who.
Oh, was that when? That actually might have been in Poland when Naniwa left. He forfeited his game.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
that actually wasn't Poland.
Game. That was a tough one. Yeah. Me and Apollo were casting that. We were like,
yeah.
I think that those are the spiciest crowds, are the ones that have a lot of national pride, like you pointed out.
I mean, I don't have too many. Obviously, I've not done that many events, but Home Story Cup always has a good crowd. Obviously, it doesn't look like a crowd, so just. But especially like we go with a big group of friends from UThermal's Discord. There's like 20, 30 of us, and you hear us chant his name every time. And there's a lot of people get really loud. And when Cyril wins, there's always a Cyril chant. You know, it's mainly because everyone's so drunk, but it's a really great atmosphere. And Asus was incredible as well. I wasn't expecting the worst, and when you ask him to make some bloody noise and you hear him tear the roof off, it's like the best.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've never cast in front of a crowd that didn't get hyped when you asked them to get hyped.
Yeah.
If it wasn't, if people in Twitch were watching and didn't hear them, it's because they weren't mic'd well. Because it was definitely like there'd be roars in the arena for sure.
All right. Thank you for the question. Oh no, go ahead, Katz.
I didn't answer. I'll be brief. In Peruvian, my Peruvian crowd was very loud when I played Copa America there. There was a Copa America in Peru. They were very loud for me, and they booed everyone else.
Sick.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, NeosteelEnthusiast, thank you for the question. From GGEmini19. You have to give another caster / personality a different job outside of their esport job. What would it be and why?
Oh my God.
I would have tasteless work at a vape store. All right, you're gonna
So you rip some sick cloud. Does he even vape? I didn't think he vaped anymore. I thought he didn't smoke at all.
No, he doesn't. Yeah.
I would put Artosis as a college professor, to be the smartest professor that has ever been in college without ever having graduated from it. That's where I would put Dan.
Appreciate
it. I'll go with Maynard being in a metal band.
Who?
Oh,
Maynard
in a metal band.
Band. You've got the
Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. I'm a couple stiff drinks away from starting a brand new band right now. I'm not too far away from my guitar and amp. I was actually just back there.
I play bass, Maynard.
Okay.
I'd make Grant the stunt double for Wardy.
Oh fuck! A lot more of this.
Stunt double. All right.
Yeah, there's a photo of us on my Instagram, and we look like twins. And at last, 2 Home Story Cups ago, someone went and they had loads of Polaroids taken, and they uploaded them all onto Discord. And one of them was her with Wardy, and I went, "Oh, I don't remember taking that picture." And I've never seen so many lulls in chat. I was like, "Oh, nightmare."
All right, excellent. Different question there, Emini. Thank you much. Last question of the night here, and then we'll close it out. Burning Luxury asks, thank you for continuing on. It's always been a pleasure to watch the show, especially live. You usually make my weeks. My thoughts go out to all of you. No question today. It was hard wording this message as is. Let's keep Jeff in our memories, of course, always. Thank you for the kind sentiment. So that looks like it wraps up the show. Let me just quickly shout out the sponsors here. Of course, don't forget, check out afkt.com. They are fantastic and have been supporting the show for a long time. Lycan does a lot for the scene. Also, matcherino.com/The Pylon Show. You can type in Purple Heart to contribute or buy things if you like as well. Then, of course, we have our Patreon. That's the best way to support the show. Patreon.com/The Pylon Show. We really appreciate all you guys for making this possible. It's really fantastic. And, of course, we have thepylonshow.com, where you can ask questions that get answered at the end, or check out VODs, check when the show is live, and all those things. So yeah, that's that. As for you guys, Grant, thank you so much for coming on. You did a great job on the show here, and at ASUS as well. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you, what you have coming up next, stuff like that.
Yeah, so my Twitter is just at GrantSC2, or Grant if you're American. That's pretty much it. And Twitch as well is GrantSC2. I stream a lot of Starcraft. At the moment, I'm streaming myself, just practicing casting. I cast viewer replays, stuff like that, as well as looking at ASUS replays and generally having a bit to drink and messing around. Coming up, I don't have anything I can announce. I do have some stuff in the pipeline. I will be at Home Story Cup one way or the other, definitely. Whether it's passed out on a bench or behind a desk cast, it will be one to see.
There's a coin flip there, whether it
thank you.
whether either's going to happen.
One shout out I do have to give is to Pharaophobia. He just joined IXG. I came back from ASUS, and he'd made me all my new Twitter graphics. I don't know if you've seen them; they look so sick. And he's doing all my Twitch for free, just as like a gift. So, real big shout out to that guy. Thank you.
Right, Katz, how about you? What do you have coming up? What are you doing?
Casting Challenger tomorrow, actually, so do check that out, and make some noise, guys. I feel like Challenger goes unnoticed a lot of the time, and a lot of these events go unnoticed, and it is in part a lack of promotion, but it is also that we as a community don't yell loud enough. So yell a little bit louder, and that's pretty much it. Follow me on Twitter, I guess, at RootCats. It's displayed right there. My stream is twitch.tv/RootCats. My team's website is rootforroot.com. And that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for coming, man. And Maynard, what are you up to?
I've been streaming a bunch, man. On Twitch TV Maynard. Just click on my name in the chat if you want to follow. I stream I've been doing a ton of actually like replay casting of people, subscribers sending in replays and then casting them. It's been a really, really wonderful time. It's sort of like, I call it the people's StarCraft, It's not like high society where you have like, the greatest of the greatest facing each other. It's the people all playing each other, the community StarCraft games. And they really are, they can be so hype and so funny and so silly, and sometimes just like surprisingly high level and genius as well from time to time. So I've been doing a lot of that replay casting, and then I've been doing my ladder adventures with my focus aspects of play. Like I just focus on one particular aspect of play for a while. Lately it's been scouting and minimap awareness, because I get caught by attacks a lot. And that's something that's I've definitely seen whenever I look at my replays. That's something that kills me all the time. I echo Katz's sentiment in that we should never be taking any content that any content producer is producing for granted, especially things like WCS and the big tournaments. If you make noise and you show interaction, Blizzard is paying attention. And if you're interacting a lot and you are showing that you're really excited about the tournament, then there's more. Like the Blizzard esports team, I can just tell you from behind the scenes, is very much fighting to get more budget. And they bring things like interaction and stuff like that to the decision makers to decide whether or not they can get more budget. So having better viewerships for tournaments, better interaction in general on social media, people making content for it, videos for it, discussions for it, like the Pylon Show does it as well. Maybe you can make your own show. Maybe you can talk about it on your Twitch account, that sort of thing, clips. All that sort of stuff matters.
Comment on Reddit even, right? Like,
yeah, Reddit threads, that sort of thing. Like, don't just sit there and wait for Blizzard to do it. Pull your thumb out, and you can contribute as well. And I also, it hasn't been announced, and I'm just going to say it now, but I will be at GSL versus the World as one of the other commentators.
No way.
And I'm very, very, very excited for it, because we just saw how incredible that tournament's going to be.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Blizzard. Sorry. But for everyone watching right now, I will be there.
Well, all right. Excellent. Okay. So as for me, I want to thank you guys all for coming. I really appreciate it. And everyone for tuning in and supporting the show. It really means a lot. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to, that's the end of the episode. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week, and we'll see you then.